Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 5 of What If I Was Reincarnated in the world of Naruto as Naruto's twin sister. Let the tale begin. Chapter 71, Gatu's Unfortunate Accident. Zabuza's eyebrow twitched a little when he saw how easily Yuna killed all those thugs. Additionally, he was rather surprised by the power of the jutsu she just used. It is not every day that you see an S-rank jutsu being used. Especially not by a young girl like Yuna. Haku was already considered an incredible genius. Yuna, however, is on a completely different level. Just how far will she reach? Just how far does she want to reach? Fine, I accept working for you from now on, but first, there is a question I would like you to answer. Sure. Go ahead. What is your goal? Yuna chuckled a little when Zabuza asked that. Isn't that rather obvious? Where else could I aim but the very peak? Zabuza met eyes with Yuna and he couldn't help himself but shudder a little. Unquestionable resolve. Reach the peak or die trying. In other words, she is a lunatic. She has, however, already proven that her claim isn't just empty words. Instant regeneration of fatal wounds and an S-rank jutsu, and she is like 13? Might as well see what will happen. Good. Very good. You are obviously crazy, but I am in. Let's see where this will end. Yuna nodded in agreement. Indeed, I am completely insane, but it's fine, I got it under control. Yuna admitting to being crazy certainly didn't boost his confidence in her, but he had already decided to get on this boat, so he will no longer retreat from it. Yuna. You do realize that Zabuza is literally a wanted criminal, right? Kakashi decided to say a few words as well, but Yuna only chuckled a little when she heard his remark. Hehe, don't worry about the details. How about you let me write the mission report? Don't worry. It will, naturally, only contain the truth. Kakashi immediately grew skeptical when he heard that. Does she want to manipulate the report, so Zabuza and Haku look like the good guys? Although I won't claim to be a diligent shinobi, this isn't something I can agree to with a good con. I will even give you that review copy of Guard. I agree. Having a fresh genin write some mission reports should be a good experience for them. If there are a few mistakes, it can't be helped. It is the first time they are doing it, after all. Everyone except for Yuna was giving Kakashi weird looks for how fast he changed his opinion. Each one of them wondered what kind of thing could bribe an elite jonin like Kakashi this easily. Kakashi, however, didn't notice the stares, as he was currently imagining how he would receive the copy and how he would enshrine it at his home. While fantasizing about it, he had a perverted smile on his face, that nobody could see due to his mask. Yuna shook her head at Kakashi's antics and then remembered something rather important. Wait. What happened to Tazuna? Everyone's eyes widened when they heard that. Even Haku and Zabuza had totally forgotten about that. They looked around and quickly found Tazuna standing quite far away from the battlefield with his eyes glued at the remains of Gata's men with his mouth wide open in shock. Seems like he is all right. Guess he is still quite shocked from the battle. Yuna walked over to the massacre she herself had produced a few minutes ago and picked up Gata like he was a sack of potatoes. Well, let's get this over with. It is finally time for the last act. Although no one knew what Yuna meant, everyone still followed her. They felt like something interesting was about to happen and they wanted to see exactly what it was. Even Tazuna was following them, even though he was still slightly dazed by the image of Yuna killing almost 100 people within a second. After a few more minutes, the group reached the market square. Well, the former market square. Now that food was very scarce, almost no one was willing to sell what they had, after all. With a quick earth jutsu, a podium was erected. Yuna jumped on it and waited for a crowd to gather. No matter the situation, people will always be curious, so after just 10 minutes of waiting an adequate amount of people has gathered inside the market square. Well, hello everyone, the name is Yuna Uzumaki and I have someone I want to introduce to you. Yuna bent down and picked up the still unconscious Gatu and showed him to the crowd. I'll introduce you to Gatu. The man who has been terrorizing your country for quite a while now. This immediately caused an uproar in the crowd. Yuna could feel all kinds of emotions flooding her, ranging from hatred to fear. Yuna chuckled a little and tossed him aside again. Well, he is the main event, so let's start with something different first. The crowd was rather dumbfounded at how casually the mysterious girl in front of them tossed Gato away and couldn't help but listen to each of her words in anticipation. Yuna took out a scroll and tossed it to Tazuna, who was standing nearby. That is a last will personally signed by Gato. It states that all he owns will be inherited by his good friend Tazuna, who has always supported him in times of hardship. The crowd, naturally, knew that there was no way Tazuna was actually friends with Gato, but when Tazuna opened the scroll, his eyes widened in surprise. When have I become friends with Gato? Where in the world did this come from? What's with all these important-looking signatures underneath it? And even more important, how is my signature on it as well? Yuna almost laughed out loud when he saw the look of bewilderment on Tazuna's face. That last will was, naturally, 100% fake. Yuna copied Gata's handwriting while writing it and put the signatures of a bunch of big shots she memorized while rifling through Gata's account books. If someone were to seriously look into it, the flaws would easily be revealed, but why would someone do that? No matter how incredible he pretended to be, Gato was just a small-time criminal that just managed to upgrade himself to slightly above small-time. As long as his businesses were still working, no one would care about anything else. Yuna picked up Gato and tossed him into the crowd. This time, Gato woke up and immediately started cursing everyone around him. Unfortunately, no one was paying attention to him, since they were busy listening to Yuna. Yuna, however, was already done with this farce. She said a few more things to make her intentions clear and then left afterward. Oh no. It seems like Gato fell and hit his head. I hope he doesn't die from this incident, otherwise, his good friend Tazuna would gain ownership over everything Gato owns, but would lose such a good friend. Oh well, I'm leaving. At first, everyone was rather confused by Yuna's sudden departure until the situation finally clicked for them. The crowd's eyes changed from confusion to understanding and then to hatred. Every single one of them looked at Gato with murderous eyes. It doesn't need to be mentioned that Gato's fall was unlucky enough to take his life. Chapter 72, The Massacre at Tazuna's House. Yuna's group was currently walking back to Tazuna's house with a rather awkward atmosphere, which wasn't surprising considering they tried to kill each other a few moments ago. Sasuke would probably be making a fuss, but he hasn't woken up yet. Zabuza, Haku, Enko, and Kakashi looked rather indifferent, but it was obvious that all four of them were ready for battle at any moment. Yuna, however, had a satisfied smile on her face. She got what she wanted after all. Hee, that went rather well. I understand why you want the ice user, but what about the sword guy? He will be rather useful in the future. Right now, I will let him stay here and protect Tazuna in case someone gets some funny ideas. I will recall him when it is time to announce the re-establishment of the Uzumaki clan. Before the clan has gotten a proper foothold in Konoha, we need some strong people as a deterrent. I see. He seems to be rather persistent in following his contracts, which means the chances of betrayal are rather low as well. Correct. After a few more minutes of walking, the group reached Tazuna's house, and as soon as they could see it, everyone, except for Yuna, completely froze up. The scene in front of them looked like a complete massacre, but instead of blood and gore, all kinds of suspicious liquids were splashed everywhere. From oil to glue, if it could be used in a prank, Naruto had built it into his seals. Men in skimpy outfits were spread all over the ground, entirely unmoving. Every single one of them had a ridiculous haircut and hair color. And worst of all, not a single one of them seemed to be even wounded, yet their eyes were completely empty. Kakashi shuddered in terror when he saw what happened here. My God! What has Naruto done to these poor people? It looks like every single one of them has lost their will to live. I thought it was abnormal that Yuna could kill so many people without being bothered by it in the slightest, but Naruto is even worse. He crushed their minds. Although Enko had similar throughs, her reaction was rather different. Haha, Damn. Look at this. He is acting all sweet and innocent yet does something like this. Maybe I should recruit him for the T&I department? Yuna only rolled her eyes at that. Just a bunch of harmless pranks. They might flinch at the sight of cake in the future, but aside from that, they will be fine. Enko could only chuckle a little when some people did indeed flinch when they heard Yuna say, cake. When they got even closer to the house, they could see that there was still a fight going on. Sakura was fighting two thugs who attacked her with reckless abandon. Naruto was standing on the sidelines and was cheering for Sakura. Don't forget that if you two don't take this seriously I toss you back into my trap array. Or not. The eyes of the two thugs became red and they were almost frothing at the mouth while their attack grew even more ferocious. You idiot, stop goading th. Whoa. Sakura hastily lifted the kunai she was holding and blocked an attack aimed at her neck and then jumped back to evade the follow-up attacks. You better pay attention to your opponents or you will be in trouble. Kakashi's face twitched a little when he saw the scene in front of him but didn't say anything about it. Although Naruto seemed to be playing around, he was ready to intervene at any time. When Sakura was about to be cut just now, Kakashi could feel the chakra in the surroundings stir a little, so there were probably some seals around here as well. This might actually be a good lesson for Sakura who never fought anyone that is after her life before. It took another 2 minutes for Sakura to defeat her opponents. No matter how weak a shinobi she is, the differences between someone who can use chakra and someone who can't is simply too huge a gap for a common thug to overcome. Despite that, Sakura was still lying on the ground while breathing heavily after her victory. She couldn't help but be a little happy about her triumph. It might not matter whether she won or not if you consider the mission, but she was still happy about the first real battle she won. Naruto smiled towards the incoming group and greeted them after they got closer. Welcome back, everyone. Naruto gave a short glance at Zabuza and Haku and then continued speaking. Seems like your plan went well, Nei-san. Of course. Sakura was also about to greet the approaching group, but she froze up after seeing Zabuza. Don't worry, Sakura-chan. Zabuza is on our side now. Sakura, naturally, still couldn't understand the situation. She eyed the group again and this time she noticed that Kakashi was carrying the unconscious Sasuke. She was just about to speak when Kakashi interrupted her. We are back, Naruto, Sakura. No need to worry about Sasuke, Sakura. He just spent all his chakra and is exhausted. For some reason, Kakashi's instincts were suddenly screaming at him to get away from here. He glanced at Zabuza, but he didn't look like he was about to make a move. Naruto's next question, however, made Kakashi understand the situation immediately. Nei-san, what is with all the blood? And there seems to be a rather big hole in your clothes as well. Kakashi's eyes widened when he heard that question and when he realized that he is currently very close to the core, the best defended place of the ceiling array, his face became deathly white. An image of the thugs they just passed flashed through his mind, but this time all of them had his face. I need to defuse the situation before Yuna can say anything wrong. Naruto, that. Oh, that is from when Kakashi used his signature jutsu and pierced his whole hand through my stomach. Naruto's eyes gained a dangerous glint when they zeroed in on Kakashi. Oh? Is that so? Kakashi could feel the surrounding chakra fluctuate. His instincts were telling him that an attack was coming, the problem was that it was apparently coming from everywhere at once. Cold sweat was flowing down his back like a river. To his surprise, however, Yuna defused the situation. Calm down, Naruto. It was just a little scratch. No need to make a big deal out of it. Although Naruto was still glaring at Kakashi, he nodded his head and Kakashi could feel the surrounding chakra calm down again. He took a deep breath to get rid of the tension in his body. I wasn't expecting Yuna to stop this. I got the feeling that she is usually the one to. Splat. The moment he completely relaxed, the inevitable happened. As soon as the cake hit, Naruto stared at Yuna with expectant eyes. Yuna used her left hand to support the right one, which was currently holding her chin. The typical thinker pose. Well executed. The timing was perfect and the chakra fluctuation was barely noticeable. All in all, an excellent performance. Yes. I finally did it. Enko and Haku both chuckled when they saw Kakashi getting hit by a cake. Enko, simply because she found pranks like that funny, and Haku because she was hit by a cake as well and didn't really understand the meaning of it. Now that she wasn't on the receiving end, however, it was rather amusing to watch. Is this some kind of family tradition? Zabuza, meanwhile, could feel regret bubbling up inside of him. What have I gotten myself into? Yuna is already bad enough, but the little brother doesn't appear to be completely sane either. Should I just leg it before I get entangled too deep? No. I can't do that. I consider myself a professional mercenary. I don't just quit when things get ugly. Yup, good job, Naruto. Now that you have my approval, you can start learning the next level of seals. I actually have the book with me so you can start practicing right away. I need to get out of here. Chapter 73, Returning to Konoha. What? Why is Zabuza here? After Sasuke woke up, as soon as he saw Zabuza he started getting angry. Calm down, Sasuke. He became our ally. His previous employer had an accident, so Zabuza no longer cares about the bridge. Sasuke immediately glared at Kakashi. Is this true? Weren't you two fighting each other to the death? Is this really fine? Kakashi, however, only shrugged his shoulders. It's not like we have a grudge against each other. Zabuza was hired to kill Tazuna and I was hired to protect him. Now that he no longer wants to kill Tazuna, there is no longer a need to fight. It is that simple. Although Zabuza didn't say anything, he nodded his head in agreement. This was what the life of a shinobi was like. No eternal enemies and no eternal allies either. In most cases, it was like that. Fine, and what about that woman over there? This time, he looked at Haku who was sitting a bit further away from the group and was currently talking animatedly with Yuna about something. Sasuke found it weird that he couldn't hear their voices at all despite them being rather close, but he didn't pay much attention to it. That is Haku, I guess he can be considered part of Zabuza's group, so he is in same circumstances. He? Haku said he is male, after all. What? This seemed to surprise Sasuke even more than the fact that Zabuza was here. His eyes kept shifting repeatedly from Haku to Kakashi and then back to Haku again. Kakashi chuckled a little when he saw Sasuke's confusion but decided that he wouldn't say more than that. He, himself, had some doubt about Haku's gender but he wouldn't bother digging any deeper. It wasn't his business after all. A few moments later, the door opened and Naruto, Tazuna, and Sakura walked in. While Naruto and Tazuna seemed to be completely fine, Sakura seemed to be totally exhausted and barely able to stand. Yo, we are back. Kakashi scanned the group and noticed Sakura's condition. Welcome back. What happened? Were you attacked? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Yeah, but they were just a bunch of small fry. I guess they were the remains of Gata's group. I let Sakura fight most of them. Sasuke almost made a spit take when he heard that Sakura was the one that actually did the fighting. What the hell happened while I was unconscious? Sakura fought someone and even won? Kakashi noticed Sasuke's bewilderment but didn't say anything about it. Good job, Sakura. You should rest now. Sakura smiled happily, nodded her head, and then went upstairs. How much longer do you think you need to finish the bridge, Tazuna-san? Tazuna thought for a moment and then gave his answer. I guess I'll need around another week. Kakashi nodded his head and then prepared the protection schedule for the next week. He couldn't wait to finally get this mission over with. There were simply too many surprises for a single mission. Another week passed without any significant incident happening and it was finally time for the two Konoha teams and Haku to return home. Yuna had already told Zabuza to stay here and protect Tazuna. At first, he was vehemently against letting Haku go alone, but during the last week Haku became friends with Naruto and Yuna, so Zabuza concluded that it wouldn't be bad to let Haku stay with some people that were at least similar in age for a while. You better take good care of Haku. If you don't, I will come and hunt you down no matter where you are. Seeing how Zabuza was acting like an overprotective parent, Yuna could only shake her head and smile wryly. Wasn't he acting all high and mighty previously? Saying stuff like, Haku is my weapon. Seems like all of that was bullshit. Yuna smirked at Zabuza and answered him. Hehe, I will take good care of your so-called weapon. This caused Zabuza to glare at Yuna even harder, but he didn't say more than that. After saying their farewell to Tazuna and most of the villagers, the group started to make their way back to Konoha. Now, that they didn't have to travel at a civilian's pace, they would make the trip much faster than during their trip into the land of waves. Tazuna, what do you think the bridge should be called? Hehe, what about the Great Tazuna Bridge? The people around him all glared at him, which caused him to cough awkwardly. Hehe, I was just kidding. How about the Great Konoha Bridge, since it is our connection to the land of fire and Konoha's shinobi were the ones to make it possible. Oh, that one is pretty good. I agree, let's go with this. While everyone was agreeing to the name, they didn't notice a young boy, Inari, standing inside the crowd while clutching a scroll used for store information. It appeared on his nightstand when he woke up this morning and contained a training schedule that was adjusted to his current age. A small note was attached to it that simply read, "What path will you choose?" Determination appeared in Inari's eyes. I want to become stronger. I want to protect my family with my own hands. I will not falter. I will show it to you, Yuna. I will show you that I can become one of the strong as well. The tragic tale of the shunned heroes, Zabuza and Haku. The duo fought and did everything they could for the betterment of the country, but instead of praise, it earned them only scorn. The higher-ups shunned them for their efforts. They did everything to sully the heroes' good names and finally managed to banish them out of the country. They traveled the world to see where they could help, but unfortunately, they were tricked by the unscrupulous merchant Gatu, who forced them to work for him by insidious means. Luckily, a few shinobi from Konoha noticed the injustice that was done to them and cooperated with Zabuza and Haku to defeat the evil merchant Gatu and free the land of Wave from his oppression. Zabuza decided to stay behind to make up for all the bad he had done, while Haku decided to travel together with the Konoha shinobi to compensate them for their help. After Hiruzen finished reading the report, his whole face was constantly twitching. Although that wasn't what was actually written in the report, that was pretty much what you'd get when you read between the lines. The report itself was written without a flaw. If he wasn't rather close to getting an aneurysm, he would probably even praise Yuna for how she could write a formal report but give the whole thing a subtle subtext like this. Less experienced people probably wouldn't even notice it and would simply think of Zabuza and Haku in a positive light without even understanding why. Hiruzen took a deep breath to calm his nerves and then glared at Kakashi. Kakashi, however, seemed to be completely absent-minded. He was constantly mumbling something about finally getting his hands on his precious. Next, Hiruzen glared at Anko, however, she only gave him a bright smile in return. Seeing his first two targets not showing any reaction, he instead decided to glare at Yuna. She chuckled a little and then turned towards Anko. It seems like the old man wants to talk about the report I have written. How about you leave first and I catch up to you guys later? Hiruzen raised his eyebrows at that. What is she planning this time? I guess she wants to discuss something in private. I am getting a really bad feeling about this. Since Hiruzen understood what Yuna meant, he quickly dismissed everyone except for Yuna. After everyone was out of the room, Hiruzen's glare got even more intense. Yuna, however, only smiled lightly and didn't make any other reaction. What's wrong, old man? I don't think there are any problems with my report, are there? You know exactly what kind of problem I have with that report. Hehe, I wonder. How about we make a little deal? Hiruzen, immediately, raised his guard even further. No need to be this on guard against me. It's just that we managed to develop a new seal recently, but since production isn't easy, we didn't plan on selling it for now. Maybe you are interested in buying a few? This actually did get Hiruzen interested. If it was something that could help Konoha as a whole, he didn't mind overlooking a single suspicious report. If the one who wanted to enter Konoha was Zabuza, things might be different, but Haku wasn't wanted like Zabuza, so things were less complicated. Alright, you got me interested. If it is something good, I don't mind overlooking this. Hehe, I knew we could talk this out. Moments later there was a knock on the door and another Yuna walked in while holding a huge scroll. This is it. This a storage scroll that can hold enough food to feed an army for a month. Although Hiruzen won't deny that this is pretty useful, there currently was no need for something like that. He was just about to deny Yuna's offer when a smirk appeared on her face and she started talking again. Additionally, the stored food will be put into stasis while inside the scroll. That means that the food will be kept fresh no matter how long it stays inside. Within reason, of course. This time, Hiruzen's eyes widened a little. I see. That means I could already start storing excess food Konoha produces and store it in case of an emergency. No, wait, even more important. Yuna smirked when he saw that Hiruzen understood what it meant to have something like this. That's right, shinobi can actually eat fresh or even cooked food with this scroll. This will be a significant help in keeping the morale up during long drawn-out battles. Hiruzen's face became solemn and he nodded his head. I agree to your offer. Let's talk about the quantity and the price. Of course. Chapter 74, Getting Pushed Down by Hinata. It took the two about an hour to hash out all the details, and after the negotiations were done, they parted ways with satisfied smiles. Yuna made her way towards Ichiraku, where she knew she would find Naruto. Just when she arrived, she could see Naruto and Haku exit the restaurant with happy smiles. Naruto, Haku, negotiations are done. As expected, no problems popped out. That is good, Nei-san. Do you want to eat something as well or should we go home now? Let's go home for now. Hinata must have been lonely without us and I bet Haku wants to see her new home. Now that I think about it, we probably should move to a bigger house sooner rather than later. The old flat is getting rather full. I am indeed curious about my new home, Yuna-sama. For some reason, Haku insists on speaking to Yuna politely. At first, Yuna wanted Haku to speak to her more casually, but she noticed that Haku was rather insistent on it, so Yuna let it go. It is not like Yuna wasn't used to people talking to her politely, so she doesn't mind all that much. After walking a bit longer and reaching their flat, Yuna immediately noticed that the atmosphere inside was a little bit weird. How unusual. I can only feel Hinata, yet something feels different. After contemplating the matter a bit longer, a slight smirk appeared on her face. You two wait here for a moment. I'll call you when you can come in. Although Naruto and Haku didn't understand the situation, they still nodded their heads in agreement. Yuna silently opened the door and snuck inside the living room without making a sound. Inside the living room, Hinata was sitting on the couch with her nose buried deep inside a rather familiar-looking book. Her head was flushed in a deep red color, her breath was slightly strained and she would occasionally rub her thighs together. A smirk appeared on Yuna's face as she stealthily approached Hinata. Without Hinata noticing anything, Yuna sat down next to her on the couch, hugged Hinata's hips, and put her head on Hinata's shoulder. Hikya! A weird-sounding scream escaped Hinata's mouth, but Yuna ignored it. Yo, Hinata. I am back. What are you reading? Yuna pushed her right cheek against Hinata's left one to take a look at the book she was reading. Another weird scream escaped Hinata's lips as she closed the book she was reading with lightning speed and stored it in her pouch. Why Yuna, welcome back. How was your trip? Trying to change the topic, huh? It is not that easy. Garden of Lilies, huh? I thought you weren't that interested in gardening. Hinata completely froze up when she heard that Yuna actually read the title. Damn, what am I supposed to do now? Won't she think I am weird for reading something like that? No, it's fine, I was just curious, after all. This definitely wasn't my third read-through. It was the best-selling book after all. How can I not get curious about it? I should just tell her honestly what the book was about. I suddenly got a bit more curious about gardening, so I wanted to read more about it. Like hell. As if I can just tell her I was reading porn. Oh? If it can awaken your interest in gardening, then give it to me after you are done reading it, okay? Oh, okay. It is not okay at all. What am I supposed to do, now? Yuna separated from Hinata's cheek, and as soon as Hinata felt that Yuna was no longer glued to her, she stiffly moved her head sideways to look at Yuna. She had to convince her to not bother about the book anymore, no matter what. Plan after plan was created and discarded at a quick pace in her mind, but all of that came to an abrupt standstill when Hinata saw Yuna's face. Yuna's eyes were full of mischief and amusement, while her mouth formed a teasing smirk. Hinata, immediately, understood what was going on. She was teasing me all this time. She knows exactly what kind of book that was. I am so stupid, it is Konoha's most sold book. There is no way Yuna doesn't know about it. A weird combination of embarrassment and anger overwhelmed Hinata. She glared at Yuna and tackled her, resulting in both of them falling onto the couch on top of each other. Why Yuna, why you? Hinata didn't even know what to say in her anger and embarrassment anymore. She was certain Yuna would scorn her when she found out about the book, but that didn't seem to be the case. Was she supposed to be angry for being pranked, happy for not being scorned, or embarrassed because she was found out? Yuna, however, decided to intervene. Oh my, what are we going to do on the couch like this, Hinata? Do you, perhaps, want to reenact that scene from chapter 5 in the book? At first, Hinata was rather confused about what Yuna was talking about, but after jogging her memory a bit, she remembered the scene Yuna was talking about. It certainly resembled what just happened rather well. One person got angry at the other person and pushed her down on a couch. Their bodies pressed into each other and their faces were only a few centimeters apart, and then they would kiss. Hinata unconsciously licked her lips while staring at Yuna's mouth when another realization hit her. Yuna has read the book as well. How else would she know about that scene? Of course, she has read it. With Yuna's personality, there is no way she wouldn't. But that means it's fine, right? She knows about it, right? So she knows what comes next, right? Should I just do it? I will do it. At this point in time, Hinata's brain had completely short-circuited. She pushed her lips forward with all her strength towards Yuna's lips. This would probably end rather painfully, but Yuna used some of her chakra to slow Hinata down a bit, which resulted in their lips touching softly. Hinata moaned in pleasure when her lips touched Yuna's, but moments later, when she realized what just happened, her eyes widened in surprise. Hinata, immediately, stood up and, with another weird scream, ran out of the room with a crimson-red face. Yuna licked her lips and chuckled a little. I wasn't expecting her to actually kiss me. Guess I pushed a little too hard. Oh well, I regret nothing. Guess I have to talk with her about all of this sooner rather than later. I can already see your first bingo book entry. Yuna Uzumaki, defiler of young girls. Hide your daughters, because she will seduce them. Followed by a list of people whose daughters you have corrupted. Now, that is just rude. But. No, but. It is just rude to say it like that. Instead of daughters you have corrupted, you could have said, daughters that were shown the light by me. You need to learn to wrap the ugly truth into nicer wrappings. Is that a human thing? It is. After all, defending our homeland sounds much better than invading our enemies because we thought they might invade us someday, so we decided to slaughter them preemptively. Anyway, guess it is time to call Naruto and Haku inside. Can't have them waiting in front of the door forever, after all. You two can enter now. Moments later, Naruto and Haku walked inside the living room. Nei-san, where is Hinata? Don't worry about her, Naruto. She just got an epiphany about her new jutsu and wants to be left alone. Naruto's eyes immediately shone in excitement. I see. So that is why you didn't want us to enter all at once. You didn't want us to disturb Hinata's focus. Yuna gave Naruto a sagely nod. That was indeed the case. I am not sure if she will come out of her room today, so let's give her some space for now. Okay, Nei-san. Although I don't really understand the situation, I will do as Yuna-sama commands. Yuna only nodded her head in acknowledgement. Guess I will go and speak with Hinata tonight. I will let her mull over her feelings a bit longer and see what she decides to do. Chapter 75, Talking with Hinata. Later that night, after everyone went to their respective rooms, Yuna approached Hinata's room. Yuna lightly knocked on Hinata's door and started to speak quietly. Hinata, it's me, Yuna. Can I come in? A weirdly muffled scream came out of her room before Hinata's barely audible voice answered Yuna. Please come in. Yuna opened the door and saw that Hinata was currently sitting on her bed while she had her blanket wrapped around her. When she saw Yuna enter the room, her mind, immediately, went into turmoil. Why is she here? Is she angry at me? Or maybe, is this the famous night visit I read about? That might not be too bad, no, I am not ready. What should I do? Yuna chuckled a little when she saw how Hinata's face was constantly changing expressions but decided to intervene before things could get out of control. Yuna started to speak with a soothing voice. Calm down, Hinata. I am just here to talk and nothing else. Yuna could feel a mix of disappointment and relief from Hinata, and moments later Hinata took a big calming breath and relaxed a little. Yuna sat down next to her and softly leaned her shoulder against Hinata's own. Hinata was surprised for a moment but quickly leaned into Yuna as well. They sat there for quite a while without anyone saying a word. The more time passed, the more serene Hinata felt. She didn't even notice how much pressure she felt from what happened earlier. The thought that Yuna might hate her for what she had done almost crushed her without her even noticing it. Now that she thought about it with a calm mind, she almost chuckled at her own stupidity. Yuna abandoning her? What a joke. Yuna picked her up when she was at her worst. There was no way she would ever abandon her for a little incident like this. Now that she has significantly calmed down and had time to analyze everything that happened, Hinata realized that Yuna could have stopped the situation at any time. Yuna was never flustered. She always had the situation under control when it mattered. If Yuna wanted to prevent the kiss, she could have done so with ease. This, however, led Hinata to another conclusion. No way, Yuna didn't mind being kissed by me? Does that mean? Hinata glanced at Yuna and could see Yuna smiling at her happily. Yuna's hand moved, and casually wrapped around Hinata's shoulders. Hinata couldn't help but release a content sigh when Yuna drew her even closer to herself. Yet, again they spent a long time like that without saying a word while Hinata calmly analyzed everything that happened so far. So far, Yuna hasn't bothered with saying anything. Hinata was a smart girl and the best way for her to understand her feelings was to think about them while Yuna was simply here with her. A while later, their eyes met, and as soon as her eyes met with Yuna's ocean-like, deep purple eyes, that seemed to radiate confidence and unbendable determination, Hinata couldn't help but chuckle to herself. I am really stupid, aren't I? She said it the very first time we met. Isn't your trust in us too low? To think it is still the same after all these years. Hinata chuckled again and shook her head to get the unnecessary thoughts out of it. She lifted her head and stared deep into Yuna's eyes. Eyes that have always been watching her and were always looking after her with care. Yuna, I've fallen in love with you. In love with you, who is always confident. In love with you, who does everything to protect those close to you. In love with you, who likes playing pranks on people. In love with you, who has always treated me like family. In love with you, who occasionally acts a little bit insane. And in love with you, who piles burden after burden onto yourself so others won't have to carry them. Yuna didn't say anything. She pulled Hinata closer to herself and gave Hinata a deep kiss. This time, Hinata was actually ready for it. While being hugged by Yuna, her own hands moved as well, and started to hug Yuna back. After a few moments of hugging and kissing, the two separated. Hinata's face was deep red and she had a goofy smile on her face. Yuna on the other hand didn't blush at all, but she still had a satisfied smile on her face. She licked her lips and her smile widened a bit further. Her lips are quite tasty, but I don't think I should push it too far. Yuna lifted Hinata's chin and gave her another kiss. This time, however, the two separated rather quickly. I love you too, Hinata, but you still remember it, right? One of my dreams? At first, Hinata was rather confused by what Yuna meant, but after a moment of contemplating she realized what Yuna was talking about. No way, she was serious about the harem? Hinata's face became conflicted. She thought some more about it and then started to blush, just to switch back to being conflicted again. She had no idea how to deal with the current situation. Then, however, she remembered another one of Yuna's dreams. My dream is to surpass everyone who stands in my way and eclipse this world's most powerful being. Hinata never thought too deeply about what that actually meant. She always dismissed it as, she wants to become the strongest, but never thought about what Yuna truly meant with that sentence. She isn't aiming to become the most powerful shinobi or some kind of invincible empress. She said, being, after all. She wants to be unsurpassable. Rather than an empress or a powerful shinobi, does she want to become a goddess? Someone that surpasses everything a world has to offer. What else could it be but a goddess? Hinata's whole body shivered for a moment. She is completely insane. I already knew that, didn't I? Yuna never bothered to hide it after all. All these years it was in plain sight, but I never noticed, From day one Yuna was abnormal, but I always filed it away under, it's Yuna so it's fine. From day one, she has always shown her real self to me. How could I shun her for that? She has never hidden her goal of creating a harem away from me, and yet I still fell for her, so isn't it fine? Besides, I read a few scenes in Garden of Lilies involving more than 2 women and I have to admit that they were pretty intriguing. After Hinata's face changed through a multitude of different facial expressions, she finally settled on a content smile. She was still hugging Yuna, so she pulled her down, resulting in both of them laying in bed next to each other while Hinata nuzzled her head into the nape of Yuna's neck. As long as you stay with me, I don't care about that. Yuna chuckled a little while wrapping a blanket over both of them. You should have realized by now that I don't abandon those I consider close. Hinata hugged Yuna a little closer before answering. I did. Kurama, meanwhile, was completely dumbfounded by what just happened. What the hell? You basically didn't speak at all. You entered the room and sat down next to her, waited, hugged her, waited, said you want a harem, waited, and then she just accepted you. I will say this again, what the hell? Geez Kurama, can't you tell you are destroying the moment? Hinata is someone who tends to overthink. I already knew that she loved me and I can't deny that I have grown rather fond of her as well. As long as I show her my sincere feelings, she will naturally react positively to them. There is no need for grand schemes or complex speeches in a situation like this. Kurama was just about to answer when Yuna decided to say a few more words. I call it, ancient supreme seduction technique, single gesture transcending a million words, ... And I am the one that is destroying the moment. Chapter 76, A Breakthrough of the Mind. When Hinata woke up the next morning, she felt like she had never slept so well in her life. She still had her eyes closed while lazily shifting around in her bed when she suddenly touched something. Her eyes immediately opened in surprise and as soon as they did, Hinata saw Yuna's face right in front of her. Yuna's eyes were still closed and she was clearly still sleeping. It took Hinata's brain quite a while to reboot properly, but when it did, a goofy smile appeared on her face. Hee, Yuna said she loves me and we even kissed. Doesn't that mean we are dating now? Hee. Hinata observed Yuna's sleeping face and her gaze involuntarily got stuck on her mouth. Hinata couldn't help but lick her lips a little. It's fine, right? We are dating, after all. So, there is no problem, right? Hinata approached Yuna's face with her own and gave her a light kiss on the lips. Hee, so nice. Hinata noticed that Yuna was slowly waking up, so she pretended to still be asleep. As soon as Hinata closed her eyes, Yuna's eyes opened. This little girl is quite bold. How curious. Yuna slightly shook Hinata awake, and moments later, Hinata opened her eyes. She was just about to say something when Yuna approached her and gave a kiss. Good morning, Hinata. Although Hinata was slightly flustered, she still gave Yuna a happy smile and answered her. Good morning, Yuna. They spent a few more minutes simply lazing around in bed before they decided to get up. Yuna considered suggesting to shower together but decided against it. I should save that suggestion for when there actually is a chance that she says yes. A few minutes later, Yuna and Hinata entered the living room. The moment they entered, Naruto, who was already sitting inside, immediately noticed that something was different. Good morning. Did something good happen, Hinata? You seem especially happy today. Although Hinata blushed slightly when Naruto saw through her so easily, she still held her head high and grabbed Yuna's hand. Yuna and I are dating now. Hinata expected all kinds of reactions from Naruto, but what she didn't expect was for him to give her a happy smile. Ah, that's good. So you finally confessed, Hinata. At first, Hinata was completely confused by Naruto's reaction, but then she noticed something else. Wait a moment. Naruto almost let it slip a few times that I like Yuna. If Naruto could find out about it, wouldn't that mean? Hinata turned her head towards Yuna and completely froze up. Yuna had a wide smile on her face that didn't manage to hide the mischief that was blatantly visible on her face. And no way you knew? Hinata couldn't help but feel a little betrayed. Yuna, however, only shrugged her shoulders. I always excelled at reading people, Hinata. You know that yourself. I wanted you to make the first step for yourself. You always admired me, but I am not interested in a one-sided relationship like that, so I waited. Every day, your confidence grew and so did your feelings. You changed from, I admire her, to, I want to stand beside her. Only after you made the first step in our relationship yourself could anything meaningful come out of it. If I made the first step, you would have always thought that I, yet again, took pity in you, wouldn't you? Although Hinata wanted to deny it, she couldn't. She imagined multiple times that Yuna was the one to approach her first, but every time she did, she felt like something was missing. Like something was wrong. Now that she was the one who made the first step, she knew what it was. Now that she was the one to approach Yuna on her own, she no longer felt like she was just following Yuna around like a lost puppy. She was finally standing beside her instead of just chasing after her. Although their respective strengths were still very far apart, Hinata couldn't help but feel like they could finally stand together as equals. Yuna also felt Hinata's shift in mood and couldn't help but be surprised. I already expected it when I picked her up all those years ago and she learned a new combat style within weeks, but she is quite the monster, huh? What do you mean? I can feel that something is different about her, but I can't really tell what it is. A breakthrough of the mind. So far, Hinata has always been following my instructions, no questions asked. If I told her to do something during training, she would do it exactly as I told her to. She would never experiment or try out different methods. The end result of that would be that she would become strong, but no matter what she did, her progress would have always been tied to my own. Now, however, she discarded that mindset. She no longer wants to follow me. She wants to stand next to me as an equal. She realized that just following my instruction isn't enough to reach that goal. In other words, for a split second, a crazy smile appeared on Yuna's face just to disappear just as fast. Things are about to get interesting. Before Yuna could elaborate what she meant, Haku entered the room. Good morning, Yuna-sama, Naruto, and I assume Hinata-san. The moment Hinata saw a beautiful girl enter the room, she immediately raised her guard. No way. Who is that? Has Yuna already picked up some members for her harem? Even if I am not the first to join it, I am still the one who knew Yuna first. I won't lose to anyone. Hinata immediately grabbed Yuna's arm and pressed it between her breast without noticing. Oh, nice. They are quite soft. I approve. Well, Hinata. Calm down for now. That is Haku. She is a mercenary that I hired that can use ice jutsu, which is pretty much the reason why I hired her. She usually pretends to be male in front of others to get rid of annoying individuals, but she is actually female. Although Haku was annoyed at Yuna for revealing her secret this easily, she simply decided to nod her head and answer. Nice to meet you. I'm Haku. Nice to meet you as well. Hinata dragged Yuna even closer to herself. I am Yuna's girlfriend, Hinata. Hinata put extra emphasis on girlfriend, but Haku only nodded in acknowledgement without any other reaction. Hinata was slightly relieved when she noticed that Haku didn't show any reaction, but as soon as their introduction finished, someone banged on the door. Yuna, it's me, Enko. You promised you would help me with it, so open up. The defenses that Hinata had just lowered rose up again. No way. Another one. But she is probably like Haku, right? Come on, Yuna. After you seduced me like this, there is no way I cannot take your offer. Hinata, immediately, got ready to intervene when she heard that. There might be more than one in the future, but I won't lose my spot as number one easily. While witnessing the scene of carnage in front of her, Yuna couldn't help but chuckle. Isn't this nice, Kurama? I really missed having my harem quarrel over me. I won't hand over my position as number one that easily. Gahaha, little girl, who are you? I saw her first, get lost. She is mine. I am not sure this can be considered a quarrel. Don't worry about it, Kurama. This is normal. I won't go down this easy, water style, water spear domain. Show me what you got, many hidden shadow snake hands. Powerful explosions echoed out again and again while Yuna had a fond smile on her face. It was good that Yuna has already placed all kinds of seals around the area, otherwise, this place would have probably been flooded with ANBU by now. Like this, Hinata and Enko could finish their argument in peace. While all of that was happening, Naruto was sitting at the table inside the living room while calmly sipping his tea. He was currently practicing a secret technique Kurama taught him. At first, he was rather skeptical about it, but now he could see its worth. Male progenitor's secret art, zoning out while nodding at the right time. Even Yuna herself seemed to have forgotten about his presence while using this technique, so Naruto naturally approved of it. Goddess of Ice, reborn as Naruto. Chapter 77, Removing Enko's Seal. It took the two about half an hour to finish their quarrel. When they re-entered the room, both of them were drenched in sweat and breathing heavily. Although both of them had a few small cuts, they didn't have any serious wounds. Yo! Did you two have fun? Enko and Hinata both gave Yuna a death glare before sitting down at the table. So, who won the argument? This question, however, only earned her another death glare before the duo averted their faces with an annoyed expression. A draw, huh? I am more surprised that both of them are still alive. Didn't I tell you that it wasn't a big deal? The occasional deathmatch strengthens the bonds of a harem, so no worry. Right. Anyway, Yuna. The verbal innuendos aside, you still remember your promise, right? Yuna shrugged her shoulders and answered. Of course. We can do it right now if you want. Before Enko could answer, Hinata intervened. Whatever it is, I am coming too. Oh? You are quite bold, Hinata. To think this little girl was this bold, I am quite impressed. Although Hinata's face was getting redder by the second, a fierce determination was visible in her eyes. I am still coming. Calm down, Hinata. We are just joking. Enko has a similar problem as you had when I picked you up. So, just like I did for you, I will help her out. Enko and Hinata were both surprised by what Yuna just said. Enko was subconsciously giving the headband Hinata wore on her forehead a glance. Guess I shouldn't be surprised. Hayashi's poker face will probably shatter like glass when he hears about this. Yeah, but keep it a secret for now. Sure, but I want to be present when it happens. There is no way I will miss such a fun event. Deal. While Enko and Yuna were chatting with each other, Hinata was still a bit dazed. To think Enko also has a cursed seal on her. Ugh, I noticed that Enko was half joking earlier, but won't this push her over the threshold? It's not like I can do anything about it though. There is no way that I would prevent Yuna from helping Enko. Especially not, if it is about a cursed seal. Yuna could more or less see what Hinata was thinking about. A smirk appeared on her face as she quietly approached her. Without any forewarning, Yuna's face appeared in front of Hinata's and gave her a quick kiss. Hinata's face immediately became crimson, especially when she saw Enko smirking at her. She looked around the living room and was relieved that at least Naruto and Haku didn't notice what happened. She could have sworn that Naruto was blushing a little, but that must have been her imagination. Why Yuna? Why did you do that? Yuna snickered. So you get used to it. Hinata had no idea what she was supposed to say to that. Since when have you two been dating? Since yesterday. Oh, a new couple, huh? Hinata immediately puffed up her chest. That's right, we even spent the whole night together. As soon as she finished that sentence, she regretted it. Hinata blushed and, immediately, tried to change the sentence. And not like that. I mean we slept with each other. Beside each other. I meant beside. Yuna gave her a satisfied nod. That was cute. I approve. Hinata on the other hand had steam coming out of her ears. Yuna casually patted her head to calm her down. Calm down, Hinata. We know what you wanted to say. Hinata only gave a little nod but didn't say anything else. After pacifying Hinata a while longer, Enko and Yuna made their way to Yuna's room to get rid of the seal. Take off your overcoat and lay down on my bed belly first. Let's get rid of this. For a moment Enko considered going for another joke, but the current situation was too important for her to joke about it. She took off her overcoat and laid down. Just like with Hinata, Yuna revealed the seal's structure, and as soon as she did, she couldn't help but frown. What kind of madman is Orochimaru to design something like this? Just receiving the seal is already close to a death sentence. You were lucky to survive that. Can you remove it? Yeah, but it will be ridiculously annoying. This thing is a ticking time bomb. The structure is more unstable than a house built out of cardboard. It seems like Orochimaru just tested out different configurations until something somehow worked. Yuna pondered a while before a serious expression appeared on her face. Enko, can you keep what is about to happen a secret? And I mean a secret from everyone including the Hokage. At first, Enko wanted to make a little joke, but after meeting Yuna's eyes that thought quickly vanished. This might be the first time I have actually seen her being serious. This isn't the time to play around. Enko's face also became serious. I swear I won't tell anybody about what is going to happen. The duo looked into each other's eyes for quite a while, and the longer Enko kept eye contact with Yuna, the more uncomfortable she felt. It feels like she can easily see through me. How can such a young girl have eyes like that? A few more moments passed before Yuna nodded her head. Good, then prepare yourself for the seal removal. Yuna closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The atmosphere in the room changed immediately. Before Enko could say anything, 3 chains shot out of Yuna's back and started to draw seals in midair. Enko took another glance at Yuna and couldn't help but be surprised by what she saw. Cold emotionless eyes and a face void of any feeling, which was totally different from the vibrant facial expressions Yuna normally showed. What the hell is this? I have never seen her like this before. Before Enko could put any more thought into it, Yuna started to speak with an indifferent voice. Starting procedure. Paralyzing patient. The seals that were still flying above Enko glowed slightly and then started to lower themselves onto Enko, completely sealing away her movements. Paralyzing pain receptors. The seal glowed again. This time, however, Enko didn't feel any different. If her movement were to be sealed away like this in a normal situation, she would probably panic, but in the few weeks she had spent with Yuna, she has gotten a pretty good understanding of her character. There is nothing Yuna hates more than betrayal. That is why Anko completely entrusted herself to Yuna like this. She doesn't even believe for a second that Yuna would betray her trust. Yuna's fingers started to glow blue, while the 3 chains hovering over her did the same. Starting procedure to dismantle the seal, analyzing seal structure, analysis complete. Removing unnecessary parts, removal completed. Searching for life-threatening seal constellations. 37 cases found, starting removal. Although Anko barely understood what Yuna was talking about, she felt like she had just heard something rather outrageous. If her body wasn't completely paralyzed, she probably would have started a rampage. 37 F***ing cases. Just you wait, Orochimaru. If I find you, I will tear out your spine and beat you to death with it. I will mount your head over my chimney. Okay, I probably wouldn't. Having a stuffed Orochimaru head look at me every time I enter my living room would be creepy as F***. While Anko's thoughts were wandering in a rather strange direction, Yuna was slowly but surely unraveling the seal in front of her. It was a disgusting piece of work. It even had a small part of Orochimaru's chakra and soul sealed into it, which meant that it could actually be used to revive Orochimaru. Funny enough, that was one of the easiest parts to get rid of. Yuna simply crushed Orochimaru's will with her own and corrupted his chakra with Kurama's. The real problem was to remove this unstable mess without killing Anko. It was like taking apart a card house without letting it collapse, but instead of a simple card house, she had to disassemble a whole mountain made of cards. That was why Yuna decided to go all out and reveal her emotionless self. It was much safer this way and pretty much guaranteed success. No matter how much Yuna disliked it, it was still useful on some occasions. It took Yuna half an hour to finish the procedure. Removal completed. 100% of the seal has been removed. Yuna took another deep breath and the atmosphere surrounding her changed again. A smirk appeared on her face. Phew, that was really annoying. What's wrong, Anko? You are so quiet. Aren't you happy I removed that seal from you? Anko, of course, still couldn't move due to the seals that were applied to her. She tried to say something, but couldn't. Yuna's smirk grew even wider. Oh? Still no words of thanks, huh? Guess I have to claim my rewards myself then. The fingers on Yuna's hands started to wiggle like worms as she approached Anko. Anko, however, only threw her a glare. Huh, okay, I'll stop playing around. It would have been more fun if you panicked though. Hehe, but I still need to cash in my payment, don't I? Before Anko could understand what was going on, Yuna lifted her right hand and smacked it onto Anko's butt. Seeing Anko's butt jiggle around after the slap, Yuna nodded in satisfaction. Nice. At least 9 out of 10. Maybe even 10 out of 10. I approve. Indeed, an adequate payment. Moments later, the seal binding Anko vanished, and as soon as it did, Anko jumped up and pushed Yuna to the ground. Oh? Is she going for revenge right away? Moments later, however, Yuna could hear a quiet sob coming from Anko, which made it rather clear what was going on. Seems like that seal put a bigger burden on her than she wanted to admit. Yuna didn't say anything and simply embraced Anko to help her sort through her feelings. Although Anko didn't cry openly, Yuna could feel the occasional teardrop fall on her clothes. It will be fun teasing her about this later on. Have I mentioned that you are a demon? You did. Chapter 78, Fooling Around. It took Anko around 5 minutes to calm down and then another 10 to get her blushing face under control. What the hell is wrong with me? Why did I see? Why did I almost start crying? Seems like that damned Mark put more pressure on me than I thought. Speaking of pressure, I feel absolutely amazing. I can't even remember whether my body has ever felt this light before. Anko let go of Yuna and casually stood up. After dusting off her clothes a bit, Anko started speaking. Anyway, thanks I guess. Yuna smirked when she saw how Anko wanted to dismiss everything like it was no big deal. Does she really think it is that easy? No need for thanks. I already got my payment after all. Yuna made a slapping motion with her right hand. Although Anko blushed a little, she started to glare at Yuna as well. I will definitely get my revenge for that. Hehe, you can come at me anytime you want. I actually thought that you wanted your revenge right away, but it turned out you just wanted to be hugged. And nonsense. I tripped. That's right. I tripped and fell on you. Since it was comfortable, I decided to use you as my body pillow for a while. You should feel honored. Yuna gave her a sage nod. Indeed. It is only natural to be comfortable when touching my body. The honor I bestowed onto you made you so emotional that you even started to cry. Totally understandable. See, crying. I was definitely not crying. Don't worry, Anko, it is only natural. Let me tell you a secret. Do you know of those stories where nations went to war because of a woman's beauty? Those stories were about me. Just crying and not fainting is actually already pretty good. Can you be any more shameless? Easily. There was this one time when I was I didn't ask for an example. It's good to see you are back to your energetic self, Anko. Tisk asterisk whatever. Anko approached Yuna, grabbed her waist, and then gave her a deep kiss on the lips. Yuna, naturally, wasn't someone easily surprised, so she mimicked Anko's movements and reciprocated the kiss. After they separated, the duo licked their lips while having a rather similar-looking grin on their faces. After a moment, however, Anko started to frown. Is it just me or has it gotten colder? Hinata is spying on us with her Byakugan and that is her killing intent. Anko pondered for a while and then nodded her head. Got it. And then, without a moment of delay, she leaned into Yuna and gave her another kiss. This time, Yuna could feel Anko's tongue invade her mouth, so she started a counteroffensive, and moments later, their tongues were dancing together. Yuna really wondered whether Hinata can stop herself from breaking open the door or not. Hinata knows what a huge impact it is to get a seal like Anko's and her own removed, so she probably doesn't want to disturb Anko. On the other hand, our kisses so far were rather tame, so she is pretty jealous of Anko. Oh well, I'll enjoy myself for now. A while later the two separated themselves from each other with a satisfied smile and slightly heavy breathing. For some reason, I feel like we should stop here. Yeah, Hinata is already gathering chakra. That little girl sure has a fiery temper. Since we will be sisters soon, I should probably spend some bonding time with her. Yeah, but I don't recommend bandit hunting as we did. Drinking tea and eating sweets together should be more appropriate. Yeah. Nothing to worry about. Anko smirked and then gave Yuna another small kiss before quickly making her way to the door. As expected, as soon as Anko opened the door, she saw Hinata glaring at her. No need to glare like that. We both know that you are jealous, rather than angry. Although Hinata's glare got even fiercer, there was a slight shade of pink on her cheeks as well. Anko was just about to leave, but when she started thinking about the current situation, she could only smile wryly. The little girl, Hinata, is surprisingly compassionate, Anko gave another look at Hinata and met her eyes. Although Anko spoke rather quietly, Hinata could still understand her easily. Seriously, Hinata, thank you. Then Anko turned around and left. She wanted to move around a bit to get used to the new lightness of her body. Hinata, however, couldn't help but deflate a little. How was she supposed to keep being angry at Anko when she gave her such sincere gratitude? She glanced at the door to Yuna's room and couldn't help but notice that Yuna was still inside. She sheepishly glanced left and right and then entered Yuna's room with a fierce blush on her face. A few days later, another big event happened. The group finally decided to move out of the flat and instead buy a house. The trigger for that was actually Naruto. While Yuna, Hinata, and Anko were snuggling on the couch, Naruto snapped. He jumped up with an annoyed expression while pointing at Yuna. "Nei-san, can you show some restraint, please?" Yuna, who was currently getting a lap pillow from Hinata together with Anko, while the two were snuggling with each other, had, at first, no idea what Naruto meant. After a while, however, she realized that having 3 women constantly flirting in front of him was rather stressful. If his sister wasn't involved he would probably be in heaven, but instead, he is in hell. Anyway, since Yuna obviously couldn't show any restraint, she decided to buy a house instead. There are few problems you couldn't solve by throwing money at them after all. Inside the house, Naruto and Haku both got their own little flats, while Yuna, Hinata, and Anko decided to live in the same space together. The trio pretty much got the first floor for themselves, while Naruto and Haku took one half of the ground floor each. Naruto was rather happy that he could enjoy some peace now. That happiness, however, was broken rather quickly when Anko mentioned that Naruto, now, could finally spend some free time with his girlfriend, while pointing at Naruto's right hand. Although Naruto quickly left in embarrassment that day while Anko was laughing, Naruto's revenge was swift and deadly. The very next day, Anko learned that embarrassing a seal master while living in his house wasn't a good idea at all, as prank seal after prank seal activated with every step she took. If Yuna didn't step in to pacify the two, they might have actually collapsed the house. With Yuna as a mediator, the two quickly came to an understanding. Small pranks and jabs are fine, but nothing too outrageous. When the duo heard the rather loose term, nothing too outrageous, they both smiled, but when they saw the demon-like smile on Yuna's face, they quickly dismissed whatever fancy plans they may have had. Their instincts were telling them that if they went overboard, Yuna would join the prank war. Something which would have rather devastating consequences for Naruto and Anko. Just like that, a few more months passed, and it was finally time for the Chunin exams to start. Chapter 79, Meeting a Tanuki. The last few months after the group moved into a new house were rather uneventful. Yuna has gotten a good understanding of how ice jutsu is normally used and incorporated into the way she uses it. Although the combination of wind and water chakra created ice chakra, the process is usually on an instinctual level. When Haku uses her ice style she doesn't even notice how the two chakra natures fuse together. Yuna on the other hand does the exact opposite. She takes complete control over the fusion process. Although these two methods reach the same goal, by looking at how Haku's ice chakra is created, Yuna could improve her own method that she developed through trial and error. Haku, unfortunately, got no benefits from comparing the two methods simply because she does it by instinct from the start. Before she could learn Yuna's improved method, she would have to learn to create ice chakra consciously first. Yuna wasn't even sure if someone who wasn't her could do that, so Haku didn't bother with that for now and instead started training in other areas. Haku was already a pretty well-rounded fighter with a focus on speed, but she was still quite a bit away from what Yuna would call a solid foundation, especially in chakra control and canceling genjutsu, so that was what she was currently focusing on. Anko has gotten quite the power boost after the curse seal was removed. It turns out that constantly suppressing a curse with your chakra does wonders for your chakra control. Additionally, by constantly having to hold back, Anko has gotten very good control over her body, far surpassing everyone in their group except for Yuna. Anko had another fight with Hinata and this time actually managed to win the battle. This, however, lit up a fire within Hinata and she took the intensity of her training up a notch. Naruto and Yuna had the least changes in the last few months. Naruto was still struggling to get Three Tails mode under control, while Yuna was centimetering closer and closer to her fourth chain. Another thing that is worth mentioning is that Anko, for some reason unknown to Yuna, has decided that she would wait with night activities until Hinata had to go first. Yuna was rather sure that blackmail was involved somehow, but didn't bother to dig deeper. Anko and Hinata had actually become pretty good friends over the last few months, so it shouldn't be that bad, maybe. Yuna, Hinata, and Anko were currently lazing around on the couch in their living room while leaning against each other. All three of them had their eyes closed and were silently circulating their chakra inside their bodies and stimulating their muscles with it. This was the first chakra exercise Yuna came up with and so far it has turned out to be an extremely useful technique. While tree walking and water walking are mastered sooner or later and could no longer improve chakra control, Yuna's exercise was different. The faster someone circulates their chakra, the harder it gets to control and the more taxing it is on the chakra control. Additionally, this has the side effect of increasing the strength of the muscles as well, since they are constantly put under pressure. The trio actually spent quite the chunk of each day like this, somehow leaning into each other while circulating their chakra. After they were done with their exercise, all the three of them opened their eyes at the same time. The first thing that happened was that Hinata and Enko gave Yuna a small kiss on her lips. Yuna could only chuckle at the little ritual the two have come up with. After Enko gave Yuna her kiss, she started speaking. I just remembered, the Chunin exam is just around the corner. I assume you want to participate, Yuna? Hinata immediately got excited when she heard that the Chunin exam was about to begin, but Yuna couldn't help but smile wryly. What's wrong, Yuna? This should be exciting, right? A lot of shinobi will come to Konoha, this should be pretty interesting. There should be a lot of interesting people we can fight. Yuna, however, could only shake her head with a small chuckle. Hinata, these are Chunin exams. The people that will be coming are around high Genin or low Chunin level in strength. Please don't forget how abnormal our strength is compared to normal Genin. Oh, and Enko, of course I will enter. Hinata, immediately, got a little depressed when she heard Yuna's words. Right, I totally forgot about that. There is no way people exceeding the Chunin level will appear. Guess this will be a rather boring event. Then, however, she remembered something else. Yuna, isn't the Chunin exam exclusive for three-person teams? Not really. Curiously enough, two-man teams are forbidden, but going solo is fine. Enko nodded her head at that. Indeed. 3 people is the usual size for a team, so it is the recommended number to attend the exams. Going solo is for those few that have the confidence to beat a 3-man cell on their own. It is a huge disadvantage to fight 3-on-1, so it is allowed as well. A group of 2, however, is different. They have the advantage of not being alone, while the chance of them pulling each other's leg is pretty low as well. Working well together with one person is, after all, much easier than working well together with 2. Hinata nodded her head. I see, in that case, I can participate alone if either Kiba or Shino don't want to. That is good to know. Although I don't mind working together with these 2, I would rather not stay a genin for longer than necessary. Both Yuna and Enko nodded at that. They had no doubt that Hinata could pass the Chunin exams on her own, after all. I wonder what Naruto will do. In my opinion, he should just toss aside those 2 dead weights and go solo, but I think Naruto is too nice to do something like that. I guess it doesn't really matter in the end. Even with 2 weights chained to his legs, he will still pass the exams easily, so no worries, I guess. Hinata and Enko both nodded in agreement. Naruto, meanwhile, just finished another, exciting, D-rank mission and couldn't help but chuckle a little when he felt a presence following him rather obviously. Moments later, he disappeared and reappeared next to an old cardboard box that was painted to look like a rock. Yo, Konohamaru, how have you been? A moment later, the box was tossed aside and revealed a young boy with spiky black hair and black eyes. Damn boss, how do you find me this easily every time? Huh, you are 100 years too early to sneak up on me, Konohamaru. Naruto has, recently, become the boss of Konohamaru, Hiruzen's grandson. It happened when he tested a secret jutsu he has been developing to play a prank on Yuna, on Hiruzen, and knocked him out instantly. At first, Konohamaru thought that defeating the Hokage could make him the Hokage, so he wanted to learn the jutsu, but after setting Konohamaru straight, he suddenly started to call Naruto boss. Come on, boss, you still haven't taught me any cool jutsu yet. If you would give me a cool jutsu I could easily hide from you. Naruto chuckled a little at that childlike thought process and then answered Konohamaru. Considering you used a cardboard box to approach me, you haven't even mastered the 3 Academy jutsu yet, right? Konohamaru looked a little sheepish when Naruto said that. Let's do it like this. If you can use all 3 of them in succession without failing I will teach you a jutsu. Naruto slowly went through a few hand seals and then took a deep breath. Wind style, air bullet. He lifted his head up and shot a single wind bullet into the air. Konohamaru's eyes started to sparkle with excitement. All right. Just wait, I will learn the 3 Academy Jutsu within a week and then you have to teach me. Haha, sure. Go for it if you see. Konohamaru didn't even wait for Naruto to finish his sentence and ran off. Naruto only chuckled at his fervor. He has seen at what level of chakra control Konohamaru was at, so learning these 3 jutsu within a week was pretty much impossible, but as long as he was motivated to train it was fine. Moments later, Naruto's face became serious. Konohamaru just bumped into 2 chakra signatures that felt very different from the ones he is used to feeling inside Konoha. Shinobi in Konoha always seems to have a little bit of affinity with nature, meaning water and earth, while the 2 chakra signatures he was currently feeling seemed to be more aligned to wind. People from Suna? Why are they here? This might be bad. Naruto vanished from where he stood and moments later he appeared near the 2 shinobi from Suna and Konohamaru. One of them was a female teenager with blonde hair and teal eyes that had a battle fan strapped to her bag, while the other one was a male teenager who wore a black full bodysuit and had facial paint on his face while carrying around a huge packet on his back. The man was currently holding up Konohamaru by his shirt and seemed to be angry about something. Naruto quickly approached them and started to speak. What seems to be the problem here? I am sure there is no reason to get this angry at a child. The male teenager, Kankuro, immediately sneered at Naruto. Of course there is. This brat bumped into me, so isn't it natural that he receives some punishment? I hate brats like this anyway. Makes me want to kill them. Kankuro reeled back his fist and was about to punch Konohamaru when Naruto vanished from where he stood and reappeared in front of Kankuro. One of Naruto's hands blocked Kankuro's punch, while the other one shot forward and stopped just before piercing through Kankuro's neck. Listen here, facial paint. I don't care why you are in Konoha or what kind of big shot you think you are, but I suggest you don't attack random civilians while you are here. Especially not if they are the grandson of the current Hokage. Kankuro's back was already overflowing with cold sweat when Naruto demonstrated that he could kill him easily, but when he heard that he almost assaulted the grandson of the current Hokage, his whole body shivered in terror. He was almost responsible for Konoha declaring war on Suna and he didn't even realize it. He nearly destroyed Suna's schemes before the Chunin exams even started. Naruto was about to start talking again when he felt someone else appearing nearby. Feeling that person's chakra, Naruto's eyes widened. Before Kankuro could understand the situation, Naruto had freed Konohamaru from his grasp and was increasing the distance between himself and the Suna shinobi. Moments later, a cocoon of sand grew out of the ground, and a pale teenager with auburn-colored hair stepped out of it. He had fair white skin, huge black bags under his eyes, and was carrying a gigantic gourd on his back. Oi, Kurama. Yeah, he has one of my siblings sealed into him. Shikaku, the one-tailed. Shikaku is pretty crazy, so don't expect too much from him. Crazy? What level of crazy are we talking about? Gaara, who has just appeared, smiled with a face full of insanity when he saw Naruto. You are strong. Killing you will confirm my existence. Next, Gaara seemed to get a heavy headache, but moments later it has already passed. Mother wants your blood. Wow, just wow. Yeah, no clue what Shikaku did to that kid, but he seems to be pretty far gone. The seal to keep Shikaku inside him is basically a slightly modified storage seal from what I can tell, so he can mess with the kid's mind freely. That guy is literally a time bomb. I guess I have to inform the old man about this. While Naruto was talking with Kurama, Gaara got another headache, and moments later he switched from completely insane to completely insane, but at least capable of communicating. What is your name? I will definitely kill you. This might have been the weirdest way he had ever been asked for his name, but Naruto still answered. Naruto Uzumaki. You? Gaara of the desert. I will enjoy killing you. After saying that, Gaara turned around and started walking away. Naruto, however, chuckled a little. Hehe, we will see about that, little Tanuki. As soon as Naruto finished that sentence, an incredibly powerful killing intent crashed into him. While Kankuro and the other female teenager, Temari, were almost suffocating because of it, Naruto quickly stepped in front of Konohamaru to shield him. Naruto himself seemed to be completely unaffected. Calm down, little Tanuki. Fighting inside the village is a big no-no. Gaara's smile grew even crazier when he heard Naruto call him little Tanuki again. I will definitely kill you. Mother will love to taste your blood. Sure. I would love to have a little talk with your mother as well. After saying that, he turned around and left. He was half expecting Gaara to actually attack him as soon as his back was turned towards him, but it seems that Gaara was at least rational enough to not start a fight in the middle of Konoha where Anbu would flood the place within seconds. Hehe, how interesting. First I will go to the old man and make a report, and then I will go to Nasan to boast about my encounter. I bet she will be jealous that I was the first one to encounter one of your siblings, Kurama. Considering her personality, that might actually happen. I am looking forward to it. Chapter 80, How to Deal with a Tanuki. Hiruzen was currently sitting in his office while lazily smoking his pipe. He was truly grateful for Yuna's idea. Over the last few months, he managed to clear away all of his paperwork. Even the massive backlog that has accumulated over the years was gone. For some reason, even Danzo has calmed down considerably. He rarely even came to the Hokage's office anymore. He hasn't felt this relaxed in years. Moments later, someone jumped through the window and into his office. Hiruzen didn't even twitch. He gave the intruder a glance, and when he saw that it was Naruto, took another deep breath from his pipe. Could be worse. It could have been Yuna. Yo, old man. I have something to report. Hiruzen nodded his head and signaled Naruto to continue. First of all, you are aware that Tsuna's Jinchuriki is currently strolling through Konoha, right? Hiruzen frowned when he heard that. He knew that the Jinchuriki was coming to Konoha for the Chunin exams, but he wasn't informed that he was already here. There is no way he would let another nation's Jinchuriki stroll through Konoha unsupervised, after all. He pushed a button under his desk and seconds later an ANBU appeared inside his office. Tsuna's Jinchuriki has appeared, take 2 people with you and observe his movements. Yes, Hokage-sama. The ANBU was just about to leave when Naruto stopped him. Wait a moment. If you are to observe Gaara, then you should hear my report as well. The ANBU looked at Hiruzen, who signaled him to wait for now. What do you have to report, Naruto? Gaara is very unstable. Hiruzen's face fell when he heard that. How unstable exactly are we talking about? Psychotic killer unstable, with a seal that can barely hold the one-tailed back. Hiruzen groaned and held his head when he heard that. Should I just kick him out of the village? Ugh, I can't deny the Kazaki's son from participating in the exams. Even if they pulled a move like this, they are still our allies. While pondering, Hiruzen realized something else. From what I heard, Naruto has reached a very high level of mastery in sealing. I might as well ask him what he thinks. From the reports I read, I understood that you have a high mastery of seals. What do you think about his seal, Naruto? Naruto, however, only shrugged his shoulders. If you want me to slap a proper seal on him, I can do that right now, but I don't think Tsuna will like it if someone fiddles around with their Jinchuriki's seal. Hiruzen nodded his head. That is good. Maybe he can do it during the Chunin exams. The second exam inside the Forest of Death is perfect for something like this. We will see how this goes. What if the one-tailed breaks out of the seal? A sneer appeared on Naruto's face. Then I will seal him inside a chamber pot before it knows what's going on. Bwahaha. That would be hilarious. Hiruzen, though, almost choked when he heard that. This damn brat. Couldn't he have said that at the start of the conversation? I was worrying over nothing. Since Jiraiya isn't back yet, I will give the task to Naruto for now. Very good. Then, in case something happens, you will be responsible for the sealing process, Naruto. Huh, alright, old man. No problem. Does that conclude your report, Naruto? Yeah, that's all I got. Good, you may leave. Got it. See ya, old man. Next, Hiruzen looked towards the ANBU. Take 4 instead of 2. If the target is about to lose control, one of you will go and fetch Naruto. Also, send a messenger in here. I will write a letter to Jiraiya. Naruto has already shown a few times that he, despite his attitude, is reliable, but I prefer to give a job this important to Jiraiya instead of a young teenager like Naruto. Dismissed. Yes, Hokage-sama. When he was alone, again, Hiruzen couldn't help but sigh. Just what is Suna planning? I'm getting too old for all of this. While Hiruzen was still contemplating the situation, Naruto arrived home. As soon as he entered the shared living room on the ground floor, Haku greeted him with a small smile on her face. Welcome home, Naruto. I'm home, Haku. Is Nei-san upstairs? Haku thought for a moment and then nodded her head. Yuna-sama should be upstairs together with Anko-san and Hinata-san. Got it, Haku. Let's talk for a bit when I come back down. I had a rather interesting encounter today. Haku's smile widened a bit more before she answered. Interesting encounter, huh? Now you got me curious. Alright. You will be surprised. After saying that, Naruto went upstairs to meet Yuna. Haku, meanwhile, had a happy smile on her face. In the last few months, she has become good friends with Naruto and she enjoyed chatting with him quite a lot. It felt totally different from the sparse conversation she had with Zabuza. No matter how insignificant the things they were talking about were, Haku felt like Naruto was giving her his full attention and didn't mind listening to her even if she didn't say anything important. Yuna and Hinata, meanwhile, tried to torture information about the Chunin exams out of Anko. Anko wanted to boast about being one of the instructors, but that completely backfired on her. Instead of envy, she received an endless chain of questions which she wasn't allowed to answer. When Yuna and Hinata noticed that Anko had some answers, but wasn't willing to tell them, they decided to get the information out of Anko using a different method. That is why Yuna was currently wrestling to hold Anko down, while Hinata was tickling and interrogating her. A few moments later, the door opened and Naruto walked inside. Nei-san you wa? And immediately froze up. Yuna was currently restraining Anko's arms, while Hinata was sitting on her legs with both of her hands inside Anko's clothing. I'm sorry for interrupting. Naruto's face became crimson red. He immediately apologized, turned around, and ran out of the room. Hinata's face had a similar color to Naruto's just now. Although Anko was blushing a little, she didn't seem to be too bothered by Naruto seeing her like that. It's not like she was naked, after all. Yuna, however, was completely unbothered. Anyway, let's continue. Her hips are her weak point, go for them, Hinata. Hinata and Anko, simultaneously, looked at Yuna completely gobsmacked. Even their thoughts were perfectly in sync. Just how shameless is she? Seeing that neither Hinata nor Anko were moving, Yuna shook her head. Guess you want to know why Naruto burst in here like that, huh? Oh well, we can continue at another time. She has to be acting, right? She can't be that shameless. Yet again the duo's thoughts were in sync. If, however, the duo could hear Yuna's current thoughts, their opinion would change rather quickly. A pity Hinata isn't strong enough to hold Anko down. If I was the one doing the tickling, I could accidentally cop a feel in a few places. The trio stood up and got their clothes in order and then followed Naruto downstairs. They had to tell him and Haku about the Chunin exams as well, so they might as well do everything at once. Chapter 81, Quarrel Before the Chunin Exams. When the trio entered the living room, Yuna couldn't help but chuckle a little when she saw Naruto's still red face. Hee, isn't it cute how innocent he is? Pretty sure you don't need to be innocent to be embarrassed after walking into your sister's room and seeing her about to have a threesome with 2 other girls. Is that so? All three of us were fully clothed, so isn't it fine? Pretty sure it's not. Oh well, nothing I can do about that, now. Yo, Naruto. Welcome home. Seems like you wanted to tell me something. What was that about? Naruto took a deep breath to calm down his embarrassment and then started talking. I was just coming back from my last mission, and while I was walking back, I met someone rather interesting, the One-Tails, Jinchuriki. Naruto expected Yuna to be annoyed that she didn't meet him, but instead a bit of excitement appeared on her face. Hehe, in that case, I have rather interesting news for you as well, Naruto. The Chunin exams are about to start, and since soon as Jinchuriki is here just when the exams are about to begin, I guess we will have a rather interesting event in front of us. Naruto's eyes shone with excitement when he heard that. He said he would seal it right away, but a little bit of fighting before that should be fine, right? There are not many chances to fight a 20-story tall enemy after all. Enko was rather excited, as well. She has powered up quite a bit in the last few months, so she can't wait to fight something like a Bijou to test her current strength. Even Hinata was a little excited to fight one of the Bijou. They are, after all, something like legendary beasts. Fighting against something like that should be an interesting experience. Haku, meanwhile, had no clue as to why everyone in the room was assuming that soon as Jinchuriki would be set free and go on a rampage, but decided not to comment on that. A few more days passed and it was finally time for the Chunin exams to start. Yuna, Naruto, and Hinata were currently walking towards the corresponding building while chatting with each other. Enko, meanwhile, left rather early and said she still had something to prepare for the exam. Yuna wasn't sure why, but her guts were telling her that it had very little to do with the actual exam. When they reached the building, Hinata noticed that Kiba and Shino were already there, so she wished good luck to Naruto and gave Yuna a small kiss before going towards her team with a little blush on her face. She is getting bolder, huh? I like. Ding. Another young girl has been corrupted by host, Yuna Uzumaki, the corruptor. Damn, I really shouldn't have given you unrestricted access to my memories. How in the world did you manage to dig up the short time period when I read something like that? I don't even remember these books properly anymore. Besides, that was really rude, you know. She is the first one, okay? Oh? And what if we consider your previous life as well? Fine, you win this round, but no more system announcements. I don't think that is a promise I can keep, so I won't give it in the first place. Yuna answered by clicking her tongue in annoyance. A few minutes later Sasuke and Sakura arrived as well. When Yuna saw Sakura, she couldn't help but nod in acknowledgement. She has powered up quite a bit. She went from completely worthless to can be used to distract the enemy for a moment. Not bad at all. Sasuke, meanwhile, seems to have been raising his inferiority complex with utmost care. It has grown splendidly. I wonder if there is a Tao of the inferiority complex? Mkich. At the pinnacle stands the god of the inferiority complex. That sounds really wrong. While Yuna's thoughts were drifting in a weird direction, the group entered the building. After climbing up the stairs to the second floor, the group noticed that there was a commotion in front of one of the rooms. Yuna wanted to ignore the fake room sign, but Sasuke immediately went into "look how awesome I am" mode and revealed the genjutsu. Seriously, what is he even doing? If these small fries can't even see through such a simple genjutsu, then they deserve to be disqualified before they even attend the actual exam. What is the point of showing off in front of people like that? While Yuna was zoning due to her disinterest in the situation, someone involved in the quarrel was approaching her. He had black hair, a bowl cut, and wore a tight-fitting green jumpsuit. He stopped in front of Yuna, did a nice guy pose, and started to speak. Let's go out together. I protect you till I die. Yuna quickly scanned the person in front of her and couldn't help but be slightly intrigued by him. From the looks of it, this guy puts himself through insane physical training. Might be fun fighting him. As for his confession. Sorry, I like women. Lee immediately deflated when he heard that. Oh? Is that why you picked up that garbage? Yuna looked at the person who just said that and noticed that it was someone from the Hyuga clan. Garbage, huh? Seeing Hinata tear him to shreds should be pretty fun, so I allow him to live for now. A Hyuga clan member, huh? Since you are showing your forehead, you weren't enslaved, which means you are from the main family, huh? Let me guess your abilities, gentle fist and literally nothing else. The Hyuga clan member, Niji Hyuga, sneered at Yuna. That's right, I am from the main family. And why should I bother learning anything but the gentle fist? There is nothing stronger than it, after all. In front of me, weaklings like you are fated to lose. As soon as these words left Niji's mouth, Naruto's whole body shivered in pure terror. This is bad, Nei-san will kill him on the spot. I need to stop her. To Naruto's surprise, however, a calm smile appeared on Yuna's face. Naruto wasn't sure why, but that smile had him even more terrified. No way. Is that? The next moment, Yuna vanished, appeared directly in front of Niji, and attacked him. Niji instincts kicked in and he wanted to retaliate, but for some reason, his body wasn't moving at all. Before anyone could react, Yuna's hand pierced through Niji's heart, killing him instantly. Moments later the room returned to how it was previously. The only difference was that Niji was sitting on the ground with cold sweat overflowing from his body. Listen well, little frog. The sky is much broader than you think it is. After saying those words, Yuna turned around and left for the real third floor. The only one who was walking with her was Naruto, who managed to see through the genjutsu. Hehe, Nei-san, you sure know how to play it cool. Yuna didn't hesitate in the slightest before answering. What kind of nonsense are you talking about, Naruto? Hehe, no need to play dumb, Nei-san. I know you wanted to kill him but held back because of Hinata. That was why you used genjutsu, which you rarely use, to at least pretend that you killed him, right? Yet again, Yuna showed no reaction at all. She turned her head and directly looked into Naruto's eyes. Naruto couldn't help but shiver a little. What kind of nonsense are you talking about, Naruto? The exact same sentence as previously, but for some reason, Naruto felt much more pressure from it than he previously did. ****, I meant that it was really cool how you put everyone under genjutsu at the same time, Nei-san. You are pretty good at bootlicking, huh? Oh? How about I give you control, so you can talk with Nei-san directly? Yeah, sorry but I pass. I thought so. A happy smile appeared on Yuna's face as she nodded in agreement. Huh, so you understand, huh? As expected of my little brother. Anyway, Nei-san. It seems like the Chunin exams will be more interesting than we thought. A battle-thirsty smile appeared on Yuna's face as she nodded her head. Indeed, this should be a lot of fun. Chapter 82, Confidence Crushing. When the duo reached the correct room, Kakashi was waiting for them in front of it. I can understand Sakura not coming, but what happened to Sasuke? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. They are both here, but Sasuke had to act cool, so they got delayed for a bit. Kakashi nodded in understanding and proceeded to wait for them. While they were waiting, more and more teams kept pouring into the room. This also included Niji, who gave Yuna a death glare but didn't say anything. Should I kill him again? Seems like he still hasn't learned his lesson. Kakashi noticed Niji's glare and got a little curious. Do you have a grudge with him? He has a grudge with me. He seems to think that he is some kind of heaven-sent genius, so I trapped him inside a genjutsu and killed him inside it. I didn't know you could use genjutsu as well. Yuna shrugged and gave her answer. I can, but I never do. With my chakra control, using a genjutsu or two isn't hard, but I didn't put any time into training it. That guy could have probably broken out of it rather quickly if I didn't act instantly. Well, that guy was last year's top scorer and is said to be a genius. Yuna only snorted at that. So he can answer a bunch of questions correctly, can use the 3 basic jutsu, can hit an unmoving target with shuriken and kunai, and the Hyuga clan is spreading propaganda about how awesome the members of the main family are. Big deal. If he were such a genius, then why is he still a genin? Now that Yuna had dismantled his statement like this, Kakashi couldn't help but feel a little awkward. Now that I think about it, that is true. Being the top scorer in the academy doesn't matter at all. Without Sasuke, Sakura would be this year's top scorer, after all. I am not sure about the propaganda part, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Hyuga clan did something like this. I could probably ask Guy for more information, but I don't care enough to do it. A few moments later, Sasuke and Sakura arrived as well, and Yuna really wanted to applaud Sasuke for how dedicated he is to his Tao. We left him alone for a few minutes and he somehow managed to get his ass kicked. Is he trying to break some kind of Chunin exam record? After the group gathered, Kakashi gave them a few more words, wished them good luck, and then told them to enter the room. As soon as they entered, a weak wave of killing intent hit them, but even Sakura didn't falter from it. Guess fighting those thugs during the mission in the Land of Waves toughened her up at least a little. Wow, I didn't think this many people would be taking the exam. Yuna shrugged at Naruto's exclamation. Yeah, but most of them are small fry. I guess around 10 will make it to the last round. The killing intent directed at Yuna immediately increased, but she didn't care about that. People that can't even stand such a little taunt aren't worth her time. Moments later, Naruto was hug-tackled from behind. Yo, Naruto, Yuna, we haven't seen each other for a while now. Yuna gave the person, Ino, a nod. Hello, Ino. Guess you were just as busy as we were. We should have dinner together after the exams are over. Ino-chan, could you get off my back? While Yuna and Ino were chatting, Naruto felt something soft press into his back and he was getting more and more flustered because of that. Ino quickly realized why Naruto was getting flustered and quickly took some distance from him with a small blush of her own. This time, the killing intent directed at Naruto increased quite a bit and Yuna couldn't help but chuckle a little. Flirting in front of a bunch of single men is quite dangerous, huh? I don't think you are really the right person to say that. Aren't you doing it all the time? It's fine if it is two women. Trust me on that one. Yuna could feel Kurama roll his eyes, but he didn't say anything else. Moments later, Shikamaru and Choji greeted them as well, followed by Kiba and Shino who had Hinata trailing behind them with a lowered head. Yuna almost rolled her eyes at Hinata's antics. It's obvious that her so-called siblings are just as bad as the elders of her family. Instead of putting on an act to see that for herself, she should just bitch-slap that genius so hard that his Byakugan turns into the Sharingan. Oh well, this is what she wants, so whatever. While the group was chatting with each other, someone else approached them. Hey you guys, you should be quieter. The person approaching them had gray hair, black eyes, and black-rimmed glasses. Yuna tilted her head in confusion. Why? You are fresh out of the academy, right? This isn't a picnic. Everyone here is nervous because of the exams. You should quiet down before you cause a scene. Yuna, however, still had her head tilted in confusion. Why bother? The person in front of them was slightly taken aback by Yuna's nonchalant attitude, but he quickly collected his thoughts and was about to say more, when Yuna interrupted him. A disdain-filled sneer appeared on her face as she let her eyes wander over the crowd. If you lose your confidence because a few people are chatting with each other, then you might as well pack your things and piss off. If you think this will work out somehow and you can just muddle your way through it, then you might as well kill yourself right now so we can reduce the number of fodder and save some time. Although quite a few people became angry at Yuna, there were also quite a few people whose confidence took a hit. Moments later, 3 people charged at Yuna, 2 men, and 1 woman. All 3 of them had a headband that Yuna has never seen before. You sure have a big mouth, let me teach you a lesson. After saying that, one of them attacked Yuna with a huge metal arm, while the other 2 tried to attack her from the side. Yuna jumped over the first attack, grabbed the 2 people that wanted to flank her by the head, and threw them at a wall. Yuna noticed that the first attacker tried to direct a sound wave into her ear with his chakra, but she negated that instantly with her own chakra. She stomped her right foot down into the first attacker and smashed his head into the floor. Three loud sounds echoed through the room almost at the same time when two people hit the wall and one was smashed into the ground. While the two people that smashed into the wall were still conscious, the third one was knocked out. Yuna looked at the person who just attacked her with confusion and innocence in her eyes. So? What kind of lesson would you like to teach me? I am always open to learning something new. The weird contrast between how arrogant Yuna acted and how innocent she pretended to be now, gave a lot of people an eerie feeling and rattled their confidence even further. Looking at Yuna, who still had her foot on the face of a person that just attacked her and who, despite that, was still smiling innocently, certainly didn't improve the confidence of the people in the room. Ibiki Marino, the examiner of the first test, was currently watching the spectacle inside the room through a one-way mirror and couldn't help himself but chuckle. Yuna Uzumaki, huh? I already like her. The exams haven't even started properly and yet, she has already shattered the confidence of about half the room. This makes my job much easier. I wonder if she is interested in the T&I department? Oh well, might as well get this started before things get out of hand. I wonder how she will react to my exam. Considering what I have seen so far, she will probably see through the first part, but what about the second one? This will be interesting. Chapter 83, The First Test. The whole room was completely silent. Everyone looked at the weird image in front of them without knowing what to think about it. Three people surprise attacked a single young girl and not even 5 seconds later, one is knocked out and the other two were repelled easily. Naruto chuckled a little when he saw Yuna playing around like this. Seems like Nasan has dropped all pretense. Guess it's finally time to show off our real strength. Just when the tension in the room was about to boil over, a smoke bomb exploded, and killing intent started to flood the room. Sit down, you worthless bastards. After the smoke was lifted, a group of shinobi was revealed. In front of them stood a tall man with broad shoulders. His face was filled with old wounds and scars and he wore a big black overcoat. I am Marino Ibiki, the examiner for the first test of the Chunin exam. Quite a few people swallowed hard when they heard who their examiner would be. As the commanding officer of Konoha's T&I department, he is well known even in other countries, after all. Ibiki lifted up his hand and pointed at Yuna. I say this to everyone and especially to you, fighting without the permission of the examiner is strictly forbidden. Those that dare to disobey me will fail immediately. Did I make myself clear? The killing intent emitted from Ibiki got even stronger, causing quite a few people to flinch. Yuna, however, only gave him a wide smile. You misunderstood. This guy under me really enjoys getting stepped on by me. Yuna gave the person she was stepping on a few nudges with her foot. See? He is so happy he fainted. Another oppressive silence filled the room as Yuna and Ibiki were keeping eye contact. I find her more and more likable. Guess Enko wasn't boasting for nothing. Despite keeping eye contact with me for this long and telling that obvious lie, she shows no signs of nervousness. A smirk appeared on Ibiki's face. You got guts. Not bad at all, but enough playing around. Let's get this started. Okay. I am done anyway. Most people in the room were rather dumbfounded by that instant shift in the atmosphere. At one moment, the two seemed ready to start fighting at any moment, and then, seemingly without reason, the mood shifted, and they started talking like nothing happened. While most people were still in a daze, Yuna skillfully moved her foot underneath the person lying under her, tossed him up, and caught him by the scruff of his shirt with her right hand. Next, one of the fingers on her left hand lit up with chakra and poked his forehead, causing him to stir a little. After that was done, she simply tossed him towards his teammates. Catch. He should wake up any minute now. Yuna could feel two people glaring at her, but she ignored it and simply went to her seat and sat down. Moments later, the person with gray hair who talked to her previously sat down next to her. I am rather lucky, huh? Not sure what this guy's deal is, but he is quite suspicious. His chakra reserve is around low Jonin level and he has a seal on him that reduces it to low Chunin. Is he part of the exam, or is there something else going on? Guess I will invest some time in slapping a few seals on him during the exam. While Yuna was pondering, Ibiki was explaining the rules of the first test. While listening to them, Yuna's eyes almost glazed over. He sure likes to make it complicated, huh? Yuna glanced at the questions in front of her and couldn't help but chuckle. I can answer them, but I am pretty sure that even some jonin couldn't. Guess there are a few people spread around that know the answers and we have to get the information from them. Pretty good design. Guess I will just steal one of their answer sheets at the end of the test and put my name on it. They are rather easy to find since all of them have around a high Chunin chakra level. The last question is rather suspicious as well, but I don't have enough information to make any conclusions about that yet. For now, time for a nap. Yuna folded her arms on her desk, put her head on them, and then closed her eyes. Ibiki's eyebrows twitched a little when he saw that, but didn't say anything. The test continued. More and more people were disqualified due to cheating, and a while later, it was time to reveal the last question. Ibiki noticed that Yuna was still sleeping, which completely negated the impact the first part of the exam is supposed to have. He couldn't help but be annoyed by it, so he took out a kunai and threw it towards Yuna. It was supposed to leave a light scratch on her cheek, but Yuna lazily swayed her head to the side and avoided it. *yon**, you have the same idea about pranks as Enko, huh? Please don't casually throw sharp objects at sleeping people. Yuna scanned the room and couldn't help but feel weirded out. What the hell is that contraption on the ceiling? Why is one of the examiners a puppet? Wow, that puppet is still somewhat acceptable, but that mirror contraption on the ceiling is absolutely outrageous. If I tell Enko about that, she will think you have grown soft. Ibiki chuckled a little when he saw a few people stiffen after Yuna exposed them. He, of course, has noticed both of these things and agreed with Yuna's assessment. Well, these are just Chunin exams after all. There were a few other equally outrageous things used while you were sleeping. After he said that, his gaze swept over a few people who couldn't help but avert their eyes when they met Ibiki's. As long as they don't try to blatantly look at someone else's sheet, I'll allow it. There was a small commotion after Ibiki said that, but he quickly stifled it with a glare. Anyway, let's get to the final question. Before you can take it, however, there are few additional rules for it. Yuna immediately zoned out a little when she heard that there were even more rules. This guy sure loves his mind games. Banned from becoming a Chunin for life, huh? That is quite the bold lie, but considering how much pressure most people in the room must feel by now, I guess quite a few will believe it. I guess this is about being willing to take a risk that involves your own life permanently, something that could happen on a mission. Oh well, guess I don't have to steal an answer sheet then. After cranking up the pressure some more and making a few more people leave the room, Ibiki finally ended the first exam and told everyone still in the room that they had passed the first test. What followed was an explanation of what happened to shinobi that failed to gather information properly and to those that get caught and interrogated for information. He finished his speech by removing his headband and revealing the numerous scars he had on his head. Ibiki was just about to explain the next step when the window burst open and someone jumped in through it. Four kunai flew in different directions and spanned a banner in front of Ibiki. The banner had, "The Sexy and Taken Enko Mitarashi," written on it. Enko walked in front of the banner with both her hand at her hips. Don't celebrate yet, I am the examiner for the second test, Enko Mitarashi. Everybody follow me. An awkward silence descended onto the room, which was broken rather quickly by a certain person. *whistle*, damn, so sexy. Look at those hips. Too bad she is already taken. I wonder who the lucky person is. That person must be incredibly attractive. Whistle. That's right, Yuna was shamelessly catcalling her, while praising herself. Enko's smile immediately widened. It's good that you understand. Good job. Enko felt a little bit of Hinata's killing intent hit her, but she didn't mind. Yuna would just have to tell her that she was cute and that would be enough to pacify Hinata. That was when Ibiki pushed away the banner with an awkward expression. I wasn't done yet. Although Enko blushed a little when she heard that, she still pushed forward. Whatever, in the next exam I will cut the remaining number of people at least by half. All of you follow me. This will be fun. A vicious smile appeared on Enko's face that intimidated quite a few people, but everyone still followed her obediently. Ibiki, in the meantime, started to collect the test papers. This has somewhat become a tradition for him. Collecting the papers that weren't relevant in the first place. He always found it amusing to read some of the hastily scribbled down answers that, occasionally, were bizarrely wrong. After a while of collecting and reading, he reached the test he was most interested in. Yuna's test. Considering she slept through the whole thing, Ibiki expected it to be totally empty, but his instincts were telling him that there was no way it was this simple. When he looked at Yuna's test paper, his eyes widened in disbelief. Not a single question was answered, which didn't surprise him too much, but there was a very childish-looking crayon drawing that filled the whole paper sheet. It was a stick figure whose only discerning features were his round black-rimmed glasses and gray spiky hair. A certain person immediately came to Ibiki's mind when he saw that stick figure. He took a better look at the drawing and noticed that there were a few arrows with labels pointing at different parts of the stick figure's body. For example, there was an arrow pointing at his eyes that was labeled with black. While he was reading through the labels, however, Ibiki got more and more serious. While most of them simply described how he looked, quite a few of them were rather unusual. One arrow was pointing at his heart. It was labeled with, seal to reduce chakra from Jonin to Chunin. There was another one pointed at 3 curved lines above his head which were labeled, smells like a snake. And lastly, there was one pointing at his right ankle which read, tracking seal I placed on him. The next thing Ibiki noticed was that there was some marking on the bottom right corner of the page that indicated that this was just page 1, so Ibiki flipped the sheet around and saw that an arrow that was drawn with crayons was drawn on it. At first, he had no idea what this was supposed to mean, but when he lifted up the piece of paper to hold it against the light, his eyes almost popped out. The childish-looking crayon arrow was spinning around and, after a bit of testing, Ibiki found out that it was always pointing in the same direction. In no way. Is this the tracking seal? There is no way, right? Ibiki had, naturally, some basic knowledge about seals, but he couldn't even begin to fathom how someone could create something like what he was currently holding in his hand. If the information on this is true, then it is very likely that Kabuto is a spy, but can I really use such a childish-looking drawing to convince anyone? She did that on purpose, huh? Ibiki gritted his teeth and decided to report the matter to the Hokage for now. Even if he will feel like an idiot while presenting Yuna's crayon drawing to the Hokage, the safety of the village comes first. Chapter 84, Start of the Second Test. After a while of following Enko, everyone arrived at an ominous-looking forest. Enko turned around and started to speak to everyone with a smirk on her face. Welcome to the second stage of the Chunin exams. This is Training Area 44, also known as the Forest of Death. Enko held up a piece of paper, as her smirk grew even wider. First, I want everyone to sign this form that the deaths in this exam weren't my responsibility, and then I will start to explain the rules of the test. Although some people were rather reluctant to sign, in the end, every single one of them did. Then Enko started to explain the rules of the second test. Every team gets one of 2 scrolls, and it is your goal to collect the one you don't have and reach the tower in the middle of the forest within 5 days while carrying both scrolls. After Enko finished explaining the rules, a smirk appeared on her face and she looked at Yuna. Well, Yuna, which one do you want? Heaven or earth? Yuna, however, only shrugged her shoulders. Heaven, of course. Without saying another word, Enko tossed a heaven scroll towards Yuna, which she caught casually and put it in her weapon pouch in front of every single contestant. The people present, naturally, knew how much of a disadvantage it was for other people to know what kind of scroll you are carrying, and yet, only very few people got any funny ideas about Yuna. She has, after all, already demonstrated that she can easily handle a 3-on-1 situation. After everyone got their scrolls, they parted ways and went to different entrances into the Forest of Death. Every entrance had a Konoha shinobi standing in front of it so the second round could start simultaneously. Unsurprisingly, the shinobi in front of Yuna's gate was Enko herself. When Anko saw Yuna, she wanted to tease her for what just happened, but after seeing the serious look on Yuna's face, she immediately stopped herself. The moment the group had arrived at the Forest of Death, Yuna, immediately, realized that something had changed about one team from the Land of Grass. The chakra level of their leader went from low Chunin to above Jonin level. Additionally, that person started to smell similar to a snake. No, that was wrong. Kabuto smelled similar to a snake. This new person smells exactly like one. If all of that wasn't enough yet, Yuna clearly felt the similarities between the grass shinobi in front of her and Anko's curse seal. Yuna didn't need to be a genius to figure out who that person was. Has Orochimaru gone completely insane? Why the hell is he participating in the Chunin exams? After a few moments of pondering, however, it became rather obvious why he was here. 2 dojutsu and 3 jinchuriki, huh? I wonder which one he is aiming for. I heard he is obsessed with learning jutsu, so I guess he wants to harvest a fresh pair of Sharingan. Yuna, you're looking unusually serious. Is something wrong? Seeing a surprising amount of concern in Anko's eyes, Yuna couldn't help but chuckle a little. Well, Anko, I have some bad news for you and some good news. Oh? Then tell me what you got. The bad news is that Orochimaru seems to be here and wants to interfere in the exams. Anko's eyes widened when she heard that and couldn't help but stare at Yuna completely dumbfounded. Are you sure? I would say about 90% sure. Anko kept quiet and started to ponder the situation. Yuna could see how her face was constantly changing through multiple emotions, ranging from hatred to terror. Don't you want to hear the good news, Anko? Anko was awakened out of her pondering and noticed that Yuna was giving her a confident smile. Her strained nerves, instantly, calmed down when she saw Yuna's smile that she had gotten rather used to over the last few months. That's right, why bother worrying? Yuna has probably already figured something out to reverse the situation. A smirk appeared on Anko's face. Hee, of course, I want to. Tell me what you got. A battle-thirsty grin appeared on Yuna's face as her chakra started leaking out of her, creating an oppressive atmosphere. The good news is that Orochimaru seems to be here and wants to interfere in the exams. At first, Anko was completely dumbfounded, but as she started to understand what Yuna meant, her smile became more and more similar to Yuna's own. I see. To think I didn't even realize such an obvious solution. Alright. Anko's smile twisted even further, almost splitting her face in half. Let's hunt a snake. Naruto and his team, meanwhile, were traveling through the Forest of Death, at a leisure pace. Well, it was a leisure pace for Naruto, at least. After a while of traveling, they took a short break so they could recover some stamina. Naruto, meanwhile, felt a little annoyed. There has been someone following them for quite a while now, but that person seems to be completely content with just following them around without doing anything. He is probably waiting for an opportunity to attack, but I wonder why he is acting alone. Now that we are taking a break, it would be a good moment to set up a trap for us, but he isn't moving at all. Whatever, I will just catch him and see what happens. Naruto stood up and walked towards the forest. Before the other two could ask anything, Naruto gave his answer. Toilet. 2 minutes later, Naruto came back while carrying an unconscious youth with a gas mask on his face. Yo, I brought a present. He tried to ambush me while I was doing my business. Sakura was about to say something when Sasuke blocked her path. How do we know it is the real you? Naruto might have been the one who got knocked out after all. Naruto pondered for a while and then chuckled a little. We had to walk some Inuzuka clan dogs as a D-rank mission. During the walk, you slipped and fell face first into dog pee. Okay, it's the real you. It's good that Nei-san wasn't there when it happened. She might have died from laughing too hard. Naruto-kun? Why is he wearing a gas mask? Hanzo cosplay. Sakura and Sasuke both looked at Naruto like he just said something completely incomprehensible. Hanzo, you know. Hanzo the salamander? Land of Rain's war hero and ruler. Gave the three Sannin their title. When Naruto mentioned the three Sannin, some comprehension appeared in the duo's eyes. Seriously, as soon as Konoha is involved they know about it. Anyway, let's see what this G. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise while his face became serious. Enemy approaching. Strong and fast. Prepare for combat. While saying that, Naruto took out a small paper tag and dropped a drop of his blood onto it before returning it into his pocket. This will alert Yuna, Hinata, and Anko that he needs support. He is rather unwilling to ask for help before he even is in danger, but considering the strength of the approaching enemy, it was necessary. Moments later, a slim woman with long black hair appeared. Cuckoo, seems like I have found my prey. Prey, huh? Guess she was actively looking for us. Is she after the Sharingan or Kurama? Now that I take a better look, isn't that a genin from the land of grass? I'm certain she wasn't this powerful when I saw her during the first exam. A henge? Guess I play dumb to win some time. Hee, aren't you a genin from the land of grass? What do you want, lady? We are kind of busy, so how about we pretend that we didn't see each other and part ways? Your acting is pretty good, but unfortunately not enough against me. You found out my strength, right? You must be quite the censor to see through me. Naruto clicked his tongue in annoyance. How about we give you our scroll and we part ways? Oi, Naruto. What are you doing? Shut up, Sasuke, I don't have time for your nonsense right now. Sacrificing something to the predator to get away, huh? Unfortunately for you, my only goal. The woman's eyes wandered over the group and got stuck on Sasuke. She licked her lips with her ridiculously long tongue, and moments later, everything around the women was doused in massive amounts of killing intent. Is you, Sasuke. Chapter 85, Stalling for Time. Feeling a ridiculous amount of killing intent flood over him, Naruto was getting more and more annoyed. Just how bad is my luck? My first C-rank mission turns into an A-rank mission, and then I am meeting this kind of monster at my first Chunin exam. She says she wants Sasuke, she is talking about the Sharingan, right? Or is she into younger boys? Well, whatever, time to stall for as long as possible. Yo, Sasuke, H. Naruto was just about to ask Sasuke for some backline support when he saw that he was completely frozen in place from fear. You have got to be kidding me. Cuckoo, I am impressed, you can still move despite my killing intent. Yeah, no biggie. Have felt worse, after all. Oh? Now that got me rather curious, but unfortunately, I have no time to chat. Damn, I thought I could stall her with a story or two, but I guess people at her level aren't tricked this easily. Well, let's see what you can do. While saying that, the women took out two kunai and threw one towards Sasuke and Sakura, who were both still frozen in place. Naruto, however, appeared in front of them and easily deflected both kunai. Then, he turned around and smashed his fist into Sasuke's stomach. The punch was just a little bit harder than necessary to get him out of his paralyzed state, which Naruto would deny if somebody were to question him about it at a later date. What are you doing? I don't have time for your bullshit. Grab Sakura and run. You are in the way. Sasuke's anger spiked for a moment and then quickly dissipated when he remembered the killing intent he just experienced. This is impossible, you can't win. Naruto only scoffed at that. Of course I can't. Are you retarded? Then why even fight? Naruto really wanted to applaud Sasuke right now. For some reason, their opponent allowed them to speak with each other. This was easily stalled time. After Sasuke's question, Naruto pretended to ponder for a while to get some extra seconds out of it and then answered his question. Because it is the best way to survive. Sasuke was completely dumbfounded, but their assailant answered this time. Oh? Are you hoping that you will be saved by ANBU? Sorry to burst your bubble, but I organized quite a few distractions for them. It will take quite a while for them to come here. How does that make you feel? Is desperation finally seeping in? Naruto was, naturally, completely unbothered by that. Will Anbu come late? Who cares? He wasn't waiting for them from the start. As soon as the first member of his family arrives, the tables will turn no matter who it is. Stalling for time in a 2-on-1 will be much easier, and sooner or later it will be 4-on-1. That means checkmate. Seeing that Naruto wasn't wavering in the slightest, the women couldn't help but chuckle again. Truly outstanding. How about you come with me? You will make a fine specimen. I promise I'll treat you gently. Yet again, the woman's overly long tongue licked over her lips, and for some reason, Naruto felt the urge to clench his buttocks together. Okay, now I am no longer so sure that she is after the Sharingan. Is she so enamored by Sasuke that she willingly walked straight into the Chunin exams to kidnap him? If that is the case, she might be even crazier than I thought she was. Sorry, my Nasan told me not to follow strangers home. Naruto gave another glance at Sasuke and couldn't help but frown. Why are you still here? Grab Sakura and run, the opponent is too strong for me to have the time to babysit you. If you want to be a deadweight, go do that somewhere else. Sasuke was truly stunned by these words. I am the deadweight? How is that possible? He took a proper look at the current situation and saw Naruto protectively standing in front of him. All of the killing intent that was enough to paralyze him now crashed into Naruto, and yet, Naruto didn't falter at all. Sasuke clenched his fist hard enough to draw blood. This is unacceptable. Flashbacks from the night when his whole clan was killed kept repeating in his head again and again. Am I really this weak? He remembered how he trembled in fear in front of Itachi and how he fainted shortly after. Isn't this almost the same situation? No. I won't go down this easy. Only by risking my life can I get the strength I need. Sasuke's Sharingan activated, revealing that he has gained an additional tomo, bringing him to a total of 4, 2 in each eye. He reached into his weapon pouch and threw a massive amount of shuriken at their enemy. Naruto, meanwhile, was completely baffled. What the hell just happened? I ask him to run away and the next moment he becomes crazy and goes into an offensive. He is an Uchiha, after all. I am not calling the whole clan insane just because I dislike them. It is genuinely hard to find an Uchiha that isn't at least completely irrational and in most cases crazy as well. I genuinely thought you just disliked them. Sorry, I guess. Yeah, no worries. It's just good that you understand. The more people know the truth the better. Sasuke's attack, meanwhile, sailed past their opponent rather harmlessly, but just when the shuriken passed her, Sasuke pulled back the strings he had attached to them and managed to bind her. He quickly went through a few hand seals and then fired off a jutsu. Fire style, Dragon Flame Jutsu. Flames started to burn around the strings and moments later, their opponent was engulfed in raging flames. What the hell was that? Why didn't she resist Sasuke's attacks? There is no way she couldn't have dodged that. Kukuku. A peal of creepy laughter echoed through the forest. The woman stepped out of the fire and revealed that over half of her face was melted. Her hand reached up and tore away the remains of her old face. Is that F***ing Orochimaru? How insane is he to boldly walk into Konoha like this? No, even more important, why the F** was he cross-dressing? No, wait. Didn't he say he wants Sasuke? What exactly does he want him for? Didn't he say he wants me to come as well? Time to design a seal to seal a certain place of my body shut. Oh well, time to finish this. Naruto felt an incredibly powerful genjutsu slam into his mind, and from the looks of it, Sasuke was hit by the same genjutsu. Wait with the dispelling, Kurama. Got it. Let me give you a farewell present, Sasuke-kun. Then, with a speed far faster than what he had previously shown, his neck extended towards Sasuke. Naruto couldn't help but be surprised by that speed. Shit, Kurama, dispel it. The moment he finished that sentence, Naruto was out of the genjutsu and a red chakra cloak with one tail engulfed him. Orochimaru, meanwhile, bit into Sasuke's shoulder, and moments later a mark appeared that looked similar but not the same to the one Anko had. He was just about to return his neck to normal when a red fist entirely made of chakra appeared and smashed him into a nearby tree. After extracting himself from the tree, Orochimaru had a look of surprise on his face. Oh? Due to the heightened emotions, some of its chakra leaked out, huh? I would love to play with you some more, but it is time for me to leave. Naruto, however, only smirked at Orochimaru. Sorry, but I don't think so. I have been stalling you for quite a while now, after all. It is time for the counteroffensive. Moments later, two people with vicious smiles on their faces landed next to Naruto. These two, naturally, were Yuna and Anko. A smile matching the ones Yuna and Anko had appeared on Naruto's face as he grew another chakra tail. Checkmate. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in part 6. Peace.